In this video, I'm literally laying out my complete 6-figure a month business model for you completely free. Many of you have been asking me to share my full business model, so my team and I got to work and created this video for you. This is the exact model that took me from an average kid without direction to moving to Dubai, building my own international team, and having the freedom to practice my deen. You're going to learn everything: how to find and close clients, the best services to offer, how much to charge, how to use AI, and much more. Everything you need to go from making a couple thousand per month to tens of thousands per month in just 90 days. So grab a pen and paper and let's get started. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you're watching this video, you have officially joined a movement full of Muslims who are done playing small. I mean, we are ready to build something real with intention, impact, and income, inshallah ta'ala. But before we touch business strategy, client acquisition, delivery, sales, or anything else, we start right over here with the foundation, your intention. Because your niyyah, your intention, if it isn't clear, then nothing else matters. I mean, you could make 10K a month, 100K a month, but if it's built on ego, showing off, or chasing the dunya for the wrong reasons, then you already failed, even if it looks like you're winning. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Kahf, the surah that we read every single Jummah, every single Friday, He says, "Say, shall we not inform you of the greatest losers in respect of their deeds? They are those whose efforts in the worldly life were misguided, while they thought they were doing good." SubhanAllah. This is very important. So let's get real. Why are you here? Why do you even want to build a business? Why do you want to make the 10K, 20K, 30K per month? Because I mean, if your answer is like you want to escape your job, or you want to buy a nice car, or prove people wrong, it won't last. It's not enough. At least not for us Muslims. Because that kind of fuel burns out fast. But if your intention is to provide for your family, to serve the ummah, live with freedom, and build wealth that brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, look, then we're talking. Because that is a foundation that we can build on. That's where real barakah, real blessings come to life. So this is where the journey starts. Not with tactics, not with sales funnels, but with true purpose. So let's start. First of all, when we look at business in general, okay, it's like we need to look at a few aspects, because when you look at the foundation of a business, it works primarily the same in every sense. Everything begins with a problem, all right? If you don't identify a good problem, there is no money to be made, all right? This is where everyone operates on. Everyone operates on pain. Everyone starts buying things when they are in pain or anything like that, right? So it's basically problem plus solution, right? Because that's what you need if you want to make money. That's basically found in the foundation how every single business works and operates. Now, when looking at the AI arbitrage module in and of itself, then it's pretty similar to a business module that you're maybe familiar with, which is the freelancing or the agency, where you basically just, provide services to others. And how an agency operates, when you look at this thing right over here, problem plus solution, is like the problem in this case, when looking at an agency, the problem is your niche. It is the group of people that you work with. You make sure that you choose a selective group of people that you operate your services on. And these people need to be in pain, all right? And I'm gonna dive deeper into this in the next lesson, where we actually pick a service and pick a niche. For now, I just want you to understand the foundation of business in and of itself, all right? So it all starts with your niche. That's the problem, that's the P. Then you have the solution, which is the service, all right? So in business, you can go a few routes. You can sell services, you can sell products, physical products, or you can sell software or anything more advanced. Most beginners always start with either services, providing services, or selling products. Well, I have a very strong opinion. I talk about this very often. I have a very strong opinion on what is the best. It's actually services, right? Because if you sell products, you need to invest in your products. You need to do marketing. You need to invest a lot of money, which is very risky. Well, on the other hand, if you provide a service, such as like here, let's take a look, such as web design, for example, or maybe you record and edit videos for others, or maybe you do financial management or accountancy service. Like there are so many different things you can do. It's basically like investing your time by helping others. And that's how in the foundation, like the whole agency freelancing service works. You pick a niche, you sell a service, and that's how you make money. You find people that have problems that you can solve with your service. So if there are people, that need a website, then you build that website and you charge money for that. For example, $1,000 or more, because for websites you can charge way more. So that's basically how freelancing works, right? But the problem with that is, especially nowadays, it takes so long to learn a skill. When I started with providing web design and designs in general. I was a graphic designer trying to help other people, with my services. But the problem was, and we can take a little bit of a dive deep into that, is like how it works basically is you, as a person in the beginning, you have a timeline, and you want to make money. You want to make money and be able to even find clients and secure deals. But it takes a lot of time and effort that you need to invest in that timeline in order to be even able to charge these prices. You need to be skilled. You need to have like a brain full of knowledge and experience to even charge big numbers, right? So it took me many years to set up my own company. I started as a freelancer. It took me 3 years to even get it off the ground and learn a skill. And then I turned it into an agency. I started hiring people, which was very tricky as well, very risky. Employees are very expensive. If you don't have any cash flow, you are in a big risk. So there are so many problems when it comes to the old module when speaking about freelancing and agency, right? And before we dive into the AI arbitrage module, the module that we are going to work with, I want you to really understand that the world is changing, okay? The world is changing. We live in an era and in a time, in a moment in time, where literally everything is going upside down. Just like how it was back in the days when the internet came up. When the world moved from offline to online, we are in a similar shift. But now we are moving from just general internet to AI. All right. And this is a big danger. Let me give you one example. If you look at the different services that you can provide as an agency, as a freelancer, one of them is copywriting. Copywriting was very famous, actually. It's actually a business module where you help people write different texts, you help them with script writing and all of that. But now you have Chat GPT, the whole AI generation coming up that does the whole work. So basically, when you look at copywriting agencies, which was a big market, there was so much money that people were making in this niche and industry, but it completely crashed. SubhanAllah. It's like AI took it over. And there are still copywriting agencies that adapted, that started building software, that started doing things that actually helped them to even make more money. But more than 80%, I can guarantee you, of all the copywriting agencies, they either stopped or they are literally went bankrupt because they couldn't find and serve their clients anymore. So this is a big threat, but also a big opportunity at the same time. Because the people who are focused on this thing, they are going to be the ones that succeed in the next couple of years, right? AI is the whole new game that we need to play, that we need to understand. All right, so let's look a bit more into that, right? AI arbitrage. So a very fancy word, of course, but in and of itself, it's just two things at the same time, right? So it's AI plus arbitrage. So what we're doing is this business module allows you to fast track this process. What took me 1 to 4 years to even get it under control and make my first 10K per month can now be done with this module in a matter of a couple of months, sometimes even weeks, but it fully depends on your own commitment and consistency. So the reason why you can do that is because you actually don't need to deliver the services yourself. Remember, when you look at the agency and the freelancers in and of itself, they themselves needed to invest a lot of time in order to serve the product or the service, and then they could make money, But in this module, it works differently. Why? Because we're working with AI, which basically means that we're implementing tech and software, okay? Or we work with contractors, which are other freelancers. So this is what we do. We actually search for clients, right? So we secure a client, new client comes in, you make your deal, you sell your service, and then you either delegate it to this, so you either outsource it with AI, or you outsource it with contractors. And most of the time, it's a combination of both. I can imagine that maybe for now, it feels a bit overwhelming. You think okay, but what kind of AI? How does AI work? What are contractors? Doesn't matter, okay? The only thing I want you to understand is the foundation of this module, because every video that you will see from now on, from the next lesson until the last one, we will explain every step that you need to take in detail. Okay, so don't worry about this. For now, I want you to realize that we are using two things, and that is AI and that is the arbitrage module, which are basically contractors are basically freelancers that you that already have this experience, the timeline that you see right over here, they already invested years in becoming the best at what they are at. And you just search for clients so that you can contact them, connect them with this part. So you basically search for the clients, that are willing to pay the money for it, and you connect them with another freelancer who works for you on a contract. So this is the contractor service, and you are the one in between that is like serving these clients, all right? Now, let's look at another thing right over here, which is the module in and of itself. One more time, you need to do sales. You need to be very good at sales, and you need to be able to make sure that at the end, after a client pays and starts working with you, that they are also happy with the results, right? So that is delivery. And most of the time, it's very limiting for your growth when looking at this. When you have one client coming in right over here, you need to spend a lot of your time over here as well in order to make sure that the client stays happy. So you need to kind of like 50-50, this whole percentage between the two in order to scale your company and make sure that clients even stay happy, right? Because without happy clients, you will lose your clients and it will not be very beneficial for you. But what the beautiful thing is about this whole module is that you actually outsource, you outsource this part. So you can spend 80% of your time on things that actually help you to grow. Because only when new money comes in the company, that's when you grow, right? I mean, if you help your clients to stay happy, it's good for your company, but it's not directly related to growth because you already have the money, right? So 80% of your time goes there, 20% of your time goes here into managing the project, having contact with the contractors, making sure that the AI and the systems are set up in place. But this takes just a few hours a week once you have a few clients, all right? And you can even optimize and automate it step by step even more. So this is the only thing that I want you to really remind yourself. After this, like I said, all of the details will follow in the next lessons. I just want to make sure that this is just a short version of the story where I actually explain what to expect and how this whole module works. But 80% of your time goes to sales. So you need to become the best sales guy ever. First thing from now on is, let me explain actually here. Let's look into it. We have a few steps that you need to take in order to actually scale your agency to the 20K a month, 30K a month and all of it, because that's what's possible with this module. So in the beginning, you start off with understanding it, right? That's step one. Step one is understand. That's where we are right now. Step number two is you pick a niche plus a service. That's what we're going to break down in a lot of details in the next lesson. And then step number three is actually setting up a good offer, because you want to make sure that in between all of the agencies and the freelancers that are still out there, that you are setting yourself apart from them. You don't want to be one of the mess, right? You want to make sure that you actually become very, very unique compared to all of the competitors that you have. So we're going to set up your offer. After that, we're diving into sales and acquisition. Here we set up all of the funnels, the systems, how to find leads, how to reach out to them, how to close them, like the whole process, everything, all right? And then finally, if you master that process, you need to make sure that you also focus on the delivery. And delivery, we're speaking about, finding the right contractors that do the projects for you, understanding AI, how you can automate certain parts of your company and all of that. But it all starts here. You are right now right over here. So it makes a lot of sense that you don't understand how this works. That's where the next lessons are about, all right? So if you understand the module, then good. We need to move to the next step, which is picking a service. Niche and service selection, all right? And this is one of the most important things because this is the foundation of your business, okay? Let's dive into it. Like I said in previous lesson when I explained the business module, I said you need to look for a problem. And once you search for a problem and combine that with a solution, that's where money is being made, all right? And now when looking at the topic of today, which is niche and service, then the problem is the niche that you are serving and the solution is the service that you are picking. Now, just to give you an example, different services could be, providing web design. That's how I started myself, or marketing and lead generation. That's what I'm doing right now with my business, or software, a field that we're looking into and that I'm having some experience in, or video marketing, a very popular one as well, email marketing. It could be so much. You need to look into something. We're diving deeper into this today, so don't worry. But these are examples of different services that you can give as a solution to a certain problem, all right? Now, when looking into the niche, into the problem, There are also some examples. For example, I started myself in the car rental industry, gym and fitness. These are all different niches that you can serve. What you do is you connect the dots. You basically help an audience that has a problem and you give a solution. Now, car rental in and of itself, or accountants or gyms, fitness, whatever, these are not necessarily problems. These are niches, target audiences that might have a problem. Now, let's look a little bit deeper into this. There are a bunch of different problems to solve in different niches, but you can all categorize them into a few things. So when looking at a funnel, then what every single business eventually needs and wants is money, okay? They want paying clients, they want happy clients, that's what they want. And if you can serve services like in the bottom of the funnel, that's amazing, okay? But some people are coming here and they say, I want to make logos, I want to make and design logos, I want to do branding, I want to do all this stuff. And that's very nice, very nice. But how valuable is this compared to this? How valuable is a logo to a client compared to actual clients coming in? And you need to get this straight. Like, there are a few layers in between, okay? So logo and all these things are awareness, okay? So little eyeball awareness. Awareness is something that can be very valuable. So for example, if you are delivering video marketing services, YouTube editings, video edits in and of itself, it's valuable, but you can dive much deeper. You have a layer the deeper is lead generation. So you help getting leads in, Leads are much more valuable than just eyeballs. A layer deeper than that actually is appointments, okay? So actual appointments booked in a calendar, which is much better than just a lead that replies to something, right? And here it's an actual client. So the deeper you go with your services into down the funnel, the more valuable your service can be to a client. So when picking a service, it's very important to look deeper into that. Now, another thing that I want to explain before we dive deeper into niche selection and service selection is, why do we even pick a niche at all? Why can't I just pick a service such as web design, or I don't know, maybe something like lead generation services, marketing software? Like, why do I need to do it for only one niche instead of just helping everyone? Let me give you a few examples, all right? So there are 3 categories, in my opinion, of being able to charge high ticket services. First of all, you have this. You have like the platforms such as Fiverr and Upwork and all of this. And these platforms are basically the same as what we are doing. Like, you can search for a freelancer that can do the work for you. Why do they work with you? I don't know. I mean, at Fiverr, I can search for someone that makes my website for $50. This is something we don't want to do. We are not going to search for our clients on Fiverr because it's such a headache. One other thing you can do, and this is the question that I want to answer over here, is you help everyone, okay? You help everyone. You just say, I make websites and I help everyone. Whatever website you need, I can do it for you. But the problem is, and I did this myself, is then you're competing with a lot of guys. Like, so everyone knows a nephew or an uncle that can create a website or can do the same thing as you, all right? So what sets you apart? This is the question. I mean, there are so many people online trying to make money, providing services and all of that. So if you are serving everyone, it's already better, but it's still not good, because you're in a field full of competition, full of competitors, full of people who are like trying to get cheaper prices and all of this. And this is not what you want. The final option that you have is picking a niche. And if you pick a niche, it might surprise you, but you would be able to charge for this same website that on Fiverr can be made for $50. Here you're able to charge 100 times more, literally, because you are serving a niche. And let me actually explain this, because you might still be thinking, why does someone in this niche doesn't just still choose the Fiverr guy to work with? Okay, so first of all, if I myself want to build a website, okay, so for example, we are now looking into a new project. Within my company, we are now running a project in software, okay? So we are now developing a software project. Now, if I would go to Fiverr and look for someone that can build it for me, I know for a fact that they probably don't speak that good English. Like, this is a con. They have like a bunch of other clients they work with. I only have a few revisions. I don't even know who this guy is. I like all of these cons, the quality is very low on Fiverr and all these platforms. And by the way, just so you know, Fiverr is also boycott, all right? It's an Israeli company, so we don't do that at all. But just in general, like, high ticket people Such as me, I want like my software that I'm building, I want it to be high end. So if I'm building a website for my software, I don't want a cheap thing from Fiverr. I think that's clear, right? But why don't I go for a guy that can make a website for me for $500 instead of $5,000? Because, like I said, this guy is making websites for everyone. Maybe he makes websites for gym owners, and then he makes a web shop, and then he makes a website, and then he makes a software website for me. Like, he doesn't know what he is doing because he's helping everyone. And when you are helping everyone, you're actually helping no one. Because what is your expertise? If I choose the nephew around the corner or the uncle of a brother of mine that knows how to build a website, he doesn't know how the software industry works. Now, let's look into the last example. Someone who completely understands my vision with the company. He has made another, like a lot of different websites in my industry. He has proven concepts of work, like all these examples. This is what I would choose for. Okay. And I would be willing to pay more because I know that the result that he promises me will be better as well. And this is the beautiful thing. I mean, if you look at this, if you look at this is how the market looks like when you talk about web design or whatever service. Like, there are so many competitors. You have this one, you have that one, and the one is cheaper than the other, and the other one is, you have all these competitors. But you, by picking a niche, become like this. You will be standing out like crazy. And that's the beautiful thing about picking a niche, because everyone that sees that you are only focusing on that specific niche, the whole entire niche will pick you, because you transform yourself from a professional into an expert, and that increases your price. And not only that, because let's look back into this example. Instead of Fiverr, instead of helping everyone, the problem when you help everyone is that every single client will ask you another thing. So this client that wants a web shop asks you, oh, can you build in this feature? Can you build in this feature? Can you build in this feature and this? Oh, and I have another, like, you have so many different requests. Well, if you pick a niche, you can systemize it, okay? You can build in your own systems, and you can constantly resell it to the same niche. And this is absolutely amazing. And most of the time, there's also one thing that I want to explain right over here, is there are multiple things you can do, actually. There are a few things that you can do. So when picking your service and your niche, because that's step one, that's step one, basically. So what you can do is two options. You either, when starting with a niche and a service, you either, and this is the best option in my opinion, you either start looking for a problem in a specific market that you identified, because once there is a problem, it's very easy to find a solution, because where problems are, solutions are created, okay? On the other hand, if you are someone that is really creative or someone that really likes a specific service, such as web design, such as marketing, or you love editing videos, or you love building software, if this is already something that you mentally decided to do, then you can start with the service and then from there find a niche that needs it. Okay, so that's kind of reverse engineering. It is possible, but it's not my advice, because you need to have like a real problem. That's where money is really being made. Okay, that's one of the most important things. So there are two options. You either start with a niche or you start with the service. Both can work. It doesn't really matter. But I would definitely recommend starting with the niche and the problem first. Only last thing that I want to share right over here, which might be a question in your head, like, where do I even start? I have no idea. You want to become this expert. You want to become this one in the field that separates himself, but you don't even know where you're starting. You don't even know about any niches. You don't even know how services work, any of that. Do you need to master these services yourself? No. Because we are using the AI arbitrage, right? So one little reminder, if you yourself can find someone that is willing to pay you money and you are able to make them happy, you can outsource the whole part in between, okay? Because we are using contractors. We're using contractors plus the AI thing, which completely allows you to outsource everything. So back to the question, do you really need to understand the service and the niche? No. But is it better for you if you want to make a bunch of sales? Yes, because how are you going to make any sales if you don't even know what you're selling? On a service level, you need to understand it, but it doesn't take that much time to understand the websites, to understand these things. If you have someone next to you, aka your contractor, who literally can explain everything, you have YouTube, you have ChatGPT, you have the whole internet, you have a bunch of books, you can do whatever you want. In literally a couple of days, you can learn it, okay? You can learn it on a service level. Once again, you don't need to like be able to deliver the services, but you need to understand it in order to be able to do sales. You need to just pick something that's already working, such as web design, marketing, software, video, email marketing, SEO services, like all these things. Pay attention, because once you've picked this, in the next session, we will do the offer creation, making sure that you have a solid approach before you start doing sales. And then your foundation will be completed, inshallah wa ta'ala. Offer creation, one of the most important aspects of your business core, the foundation of your business, all right? In last previous session, we talked about niche and service selection, right? One of the most important things, actually, that's where it all starts. If you haven't done that correctly, then please don't watch this session, the next ones, and whatever. Like, do it step by step, one problem at a time, one thing at a time, one step at a time. This is the foundational rule of business. If you haven't took care of your service and your niche, then don't watch this, all right? One thing at a time. It's super, super crucial. Now, if you've picked your niche and if you've picked your service, then it's time for creating your offer. And your offer is what sets you apart from everyone else, okay? Because you probably picked a service and then maybe even a niche that already exists. Like, you don't need to invent the wheel again. That's what I told you. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't pick a super complex niche and a this and a that. No. Pick a service, pick a niche that is proven to be working. Then this step right over here, this offer creation part, this is what's going to be setting you apart. Because why are they choosing for you and not for someone else? Because of your offer, all right? And in order to do that, in order to really understand that, we need to look into the psychology of your future clients. And in order to do that, we need to go to the drawing pad right over here, okay? And the first thing I want you to understand when speaking about psychology, in order to make money, in order to you really have someone making an investment in you, it comes down to two things that you need to pay attention to. The first one is pain. Everyone operates from pain. Think about everything anything like literally that you have bought in the past, whether it's food. It's coming from pain because you are hungry. You don't want to starve, right? And the newest phone, you don't want to miss out. You want to hop on the newest trends. A video game because you want to play with your friends. Like you buy something based on pain, okay? That's where it's coming from. But there's also one other aspect that a lot of people forget. And that is the second thing, which is confidence, all right? Confidence. You need to trust someone. If you don't trust it, if you don't have faith in that this is going to work out, then you will never buy it, okay? So these are the two aspects. When speaking about pain, you need to increase that. You need to make sure that you understand the psychology of it. Remember, in the last session, we talked about the niche, and the niche is eventually the problem. The bigger the problem that you can solve, the bigger the pain is, you know? And that's really what sets you apart if you really focus on this thing. Also, the thing that sets you apart is the confidence, your confidence, and the trust that they have in you. And this is what a real offer does. A real offer stimulates that pain, but also the confidence. And that's where real action comes from. Okay, now what I want to do right over here is I want to make a little drawing that I learned from one of my mentors myself. There are a few aspects that are super, super crucial to understand truly to make the best offer ever, okay? So an irresistible offer is what we call that. Now, how to create an irresistible offer? An offer that they simply can't resist, okay? Now, this is how it works. So you have your potential future client right over here. And you have their goal, you know, their big goal, their North Star, the thing that they want to achieve in life. You have that right over here. So they have a goal. And in their mind, they have a drive. They have like this drive to accomplish that. This is already there. There's nothing for you to really do. But a good offer stimulates this. A good offer really talks about it, like talks to your clients from their perspective, from their understanding, from their situation. Now, the only problem for your client is that the way to getting there looks like this. They don't know how to get there. It looks like a complete chaos. And this is the problem that you're actually solving. I mean, if they can go themselves from here to there, then why do they need you, right? They have a clear problem and you need to describe this problem to them. From this problem and the situation, they cannot go from here to there. That creates pain, and pain is under their feet. They feel it, okay? And this needs a little bit of another color because this is like, for them, it feels like standing in fire. If you have a good offer and you are in a niche that really, really does what what we teach you to do, like the whole pain, the problem solving. If the problem is big enough, then it creates pain. So this is the situation basically of your client. They have this idea, they have this goal that they want to achieve that's in their mind, but they just don't know how to get there, okay? In order to get them to, put this into action, there's only one thing that is left, and that is confidence. And confidence is like a little pillar that we need to, get here. So the pain and the confidence, all right? The higher your confidence is, the more your North Star will be somewhere here. And their problem is in between, okay? The problem is in between them and them taking action. So the higher this pillar of confidence is, the clearer they can see it, right? And these are the 5 aspects that you need to pay attention to when setting up your offer, okay? So you need a good offer stimulates their problem. They are aware of the problem, and you need to make them even more aware. Their goal, what is their ultimate goal? What is their pain? And how can you solve that pain from them in order to get action? And in order to get them into action, you need confidence, okay? These are the 5 pillars. Sorry, the 6, by the way. Don't need to make mistakes here. The 6 pillars that you need in order to set up a good offer. Now, let's zoom into one thing right over here, okay? Let me actually remove these things. Let's zoom into one thing. This is pain. Pain and the problem, okay? Now, we don't create the pain. We don't create the problem. We make them more aware of the problem, okay? Because we search for a niche that actually has a problem already that we're going to help them with. Sometimes they are not really aware of the problem, and sometimes they are aware, but you just need to tell it to them. You need to tell it to them that they are in a situation that you can solve. So what you do during your sales calls, and this is a little demo for your sales, is by asking them questions, you make them more aware of their situation. Hey, how is it actually for you to stay in this situation? Would it be more beneficial to, get to this goal? You ask them these questions, and because you ask these questions, they become more aware of the problem. And if you ask the right questions, they will even sell themselves. And this is something very powerful that I will dive later and deeper into during the sales modules and the sales trainings that we have prepared for you as well. But the most important thing is that you make them aware of the situation. And also, you ask them, what will happen if you stay in the same position, right? You just simply help them to realize that this problem that they have is actually very seriously, and they need to act upon that. And this is what a good offer basically does. Now, let's dive a little bit into this pillar of confidence, because this is actually one of the most important aspects. And it comes down to 3 things that you need to look at, okay? One thing is your offer. So the stronger your offer, and we will dive into the offer creation part, actually how to set up your offer and where you need to look at in a minute. So give me some time. But it starts with your offer. Then, secondly, yourself, how you present yourself, how confident you are. If you're talking to someone, if you're reaching out, does it feel confident? Do they trust you? Do you have a good energy around you? Do you represent your deen in the right way? Allah Mubarak. These important aspects are super, super crucial. And then there's one other thing that maybe in the beginning is a bit hard and a bit tricky. But trust me, it's very powerful later on. It is your clients, okay? Once you have closed your first client, if they are happy, if they left some crazy testimonials for you, they will back you up. And it's super, super, super powerful later on. That's why you need to treat your first clients like kings, all right? You need to serve them in the best possible way. Because if you have first clients that are really happy to work with you, they will represent you and build this pillar to a skyscraper in order to build more confidence and sell like crazy, all right? Now, let's go back here. And this here, to this equation, if you look at this, pain and confidence equals action, okay? This is where action comes from. Action comes from confidence and pain. And your offer, basically, in order to really understand that, your offer is basically the bridge between their current situation, and their desired situation. This is your offer. This is the bridge, okay? This is the bridge that you build in between. The stronger your offer, the more you will be able to get people from here to there. Now, let's zoom a little bit deeper into what creates a good offer, okay? What creates a good offer. Now, there are a few things that you need to look at, all right? There are actually 7 aspects that create a good offer. Let's list them down, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number 7. Okay, there are 7 aspects that you need to look at in order to create a good offer. Now, pay attention because this is the most crucial part, all right? It all starts with who are you actually talking to, okay? Who is your audience? A good offer speaks directly to your niche, okay? And this is why we serve a niche. Because in sales, if I would go to the street and just scream like, hey, who wants a website? Who wants a marketing? Who wants this? It will never work. But if you would approach people one-on-one and tell them, hey, what is your situation? Did you know that for your exact situation, I have the right solution? How many more people do you think would be more interested in? Because you approach them one-on-one instead of just screaming all over the place. If you don't have a good offer and you don't know who you're talking to, you're just talking to no one, okay? So your who is your niche, and you need to define that clearly. And if you're watching this so far, you probably did, because I told you, don't move forward if you haven't picked your niche and your service yet, because this won't make sense otherwise, all right? Now, it starts with who are you talking to? Then we need to look at, okay, the ones that we are talking to, what is their outcome? What is the outcome that they want? Okay, what is the outcome that I'm gonna give them? And sometimes, most cases, you don't only need to look at what do they want, but you need to even over-deliver that. You need to be like crazy. What is their dream outcome? What is their ultimate dream? Okay, let's write this in another color here behind it. What is their ultimate dream? And how can you make that come to a reality? I'm going to provide you with some examples very soon, but first let's look into the other parts, all right? After the outcome, we need to look into the time frame, the timeline, because like you can really talk directly to your audience. You can have the best outcome ever, but if you are not clear on when to expect that for them, then it doesn't make sense. I mean, I can give you the best offer ever, but if I told you like it takes 200 years to get it, then you're like, I'll be dead by then, so it doesn't matter. So timeline is very important. And this is also what I talked about in other episodes. I mean, there are a lot of things that you need to increase when you have a good offer, but also things that you need to decrease, okay? So the dream outcome is something you need to make as cool as possible. But the time frame, the amount of time it takes actually should be as short as possible, because the quicker you can deliver it, the better it is, the more valuable it can be for your potential client. Now, another very important aspect is the methods, all right? Now, what does this mean? The method is basically, okay, how are you going to achieve this outcome? Okay, because the outcome is never your service. Okay, the outcome is never, I can design a website for you. No, the outcome of a website, for example, is you are generating and building a tool for them that can make them rank higher on Google, get more clients, get more views, get more leads, all of it. This is the outcome that they want. The tool that you're using, the service that you're using is web designing. Okay, so it's also important that you make a difference into that, because you are never selling your services, you are selling the outcome. These are two separated things that people always confuse. Like, people always get these things mixed up and all of it. Like, don't worry, we got you, but it's important that you describe your method, your service in a good way, but also your outcome, okay? So your method is a very important aspect as well. Then the next thing, and this is a little bit of what sets you apart, is the value factors. What are your unique selling points? What makes you unique? What are you bringing of like value to the table? It's very important that you don't put like random stuff here that your clients don't care about. You need to look at what is really truly valuable for them. What are your unique selling points? Maybe it's quick responses, quick delivery, guarantees that you can actually achieve it. And this also brings me to my second point, because guarantees is not only a unique selling point, guarantees is a must. Okay, guarantees are super, super important. What are your guarantees? Because if you can guarantee the results in the right way, then it actually improves your offer and the likelihood of them taking action. Are you willing to put some risk on the table? That's basically the question that you need to ask yourself. And if you truly understand your product, if you truly understand of what you can deliver, and trust me, you will after the lessons in the upcoming weeks, inshallah, then it is definitely possible to put some risk reversals over there, to put some guarantees in place, okay? And these guarantees that you give your clients, you know for a fact that you will hit them, but you just give them to your clients because then it's easier for them to take the step. And the final thing, one of the most important things, is actually your pricing, okay? What is the price? Because that's most of the time something that people ask right away in the beginning, especially at the markets, What is the price? Can we negotiate it? I mean, price does matter, okay? Price really does matter. But it's one of the last things that you need to look at. Because if all these boxes right over here are checked and you did it in the most best way, then people are definitely able to pay a lot for it, okay? Now, actually, let's look into some examples of my own agency right over here, okay? Let's wipe this away and look into my own agency for your brand. What we did, and we've worked with multiple niches over time, okay? But I'm gonna give you one example of one of the most recent projects that we've run, and it was a great success. So we worked with accountants, okay? That were in need of clients. So they had a pain, all right? This was our niche. We were talking directly to bookkeepers and accountants that needed clients, that were in need of more clients. They were struggling a little bit. Most of them were actually really dependent on mouth to mouth and all of these things. So it was a very good niche. The outcome that we promised them were clients on autopilot. So literally clients on autopilot. They had a problem and we solved that, all right? Clients on autopilot. The time frame is you get your leads, your first leads, within a week. Within 1 week. Okay, so we had our campaigns up and running for them within 1 week. 1 week was the time frame. And mostly because we couldn't promise them like when they get their first clients, because they still needed to convert those leads and those appointments into their clients. This was their job. But we told them on average, our clients close between 1 to 2 months it takes for them to close their first client. But the first leads already came in very soon. The method, and you can guess it, is lead generation. That's how I build my service, like my agency. Now, you see right over here, the outcome is not the service, okay? The outcome, as you can see right over here, is clients on autopilot. And that's because we do lead generation for them. Two separated things, right? So the next thing is the value factors. And here are a lot of things that we took into, our offer. And because when looking at the value factors, you basically need to look at the potential objectives that the client might have. Like all these questions like, okay, but is it gonna work for me? What kind of effort and what kind of risk do I need to put in myself and all these things? So we had a few things, but it basically comes down to our track record in here, okay? Our track record. Because we had like a bunch of clients that we already helped and worked with in the past, but we did so many different other unique selling points. We focused on our contact. We only specifically worked in our country, in the Netherlands. We really optimized our services. We understood the niche like no other, like all these little things that we implemented. We had great communication tools. We had amazing clients that could back us up. We had good reviews, well, everything. So that's why this offer worked so hard and so good. But there are a lot of things that you can look into yourself. You basically, when you look into value factors, you look into the potential objections that they might have and how you can tackle them with implementing good unique selling points. And one of the craziest unique selling points we had was one of the guarantees, okay? So no leads, no pay. This was our guarantee. Because we had a track record, we knew for a fact that we were able to get qualitative leads for them, okay? So our rule was, if you don't get any leads, you don't pay us. So there is no risk, okay? You start working with us and we just literally give you the leads, and we even gave them like quality checks. So it wasn't just about leads, but it was about qualitative leads. We need to give them qualitative leads, and then we had like a full structure. Maybe I will share it in like one of the live sessions or whatever if you're interested in it. But we had like a crazy guarantee in there. No results, you don't pay, okay? So that's the risk that we took on us. And when looking at the price, they paid per lead, okay? Paid per lead. And this was also very interesting for them because like we didn't say like, oh, you pay $5,000 a month and this and that, but you just pay per lead, okay? So our clients on average paid $12 per lead, okay? So per lead. And the funny thing, actually with the clients that we had, we could easily get like 500 leads per month for our clients. And that basically equals to literally 5,000 plus payments per month, okay? So actually, we earned more than before because we've worked with strict retainers as well of 2K per month and all of this. But for us, this module worked very, very well. I would not recommend it to everyone. You don't need to do that, but you need to look into these things. You need to look at the value, and if the value that you are delivering right over here, you can also increase the price easily. But a good offer includes all of these factors, and this is just one example of many, many, many that I can give you. I will maybe even in the future give you some PDFs, and even there is a PDF attached to this training. Every single training right over here underneath, you see all of it described. We explain all of the details. We give you extra PDFs and resources for you to check, work on your offer. And also in the next lessons and the episodes, we also give you acquisition trackers for all the different methods. And this is something that my team constantly updates, okay? So even by the time that you're watching this, we could even have like more detailed PDFs as well. So here around, look at it. You will probably see something. Last thing that I want to say before I give you another PDF that I want you to check is that there are a few things that you need to avoid, okay? So the things that you should not do, basically, okay? The things that you should not do. The things that you basically need to avoid, all right? Now, let's look into it. The first one is copying competitors. And the thing is, like, if you have competitors in your niche, it's great. If you have other services and guys and that do this, like, agency stuff, it's all fine. There's not a problem with that at all. It means that there is, like, a market for it. But the most stupid thing you can actually do is copy them, because you're just one of them then, you know? You can copy them, but you need to improve it and make it unique. This is what the whole offer is about. You need to set up an offer that separates you from all the people in the market. And it's not that hard if you really look into all these things and just analyze the market and look what you can do differently, all right? Another thing that you shouldn't do is selling the boring features. Okay, and this is a common mistake that a lot of people make when it comes down to this part right over here, you know, the value factors. When looking at the value factors, people are talking like, yes, we have like a nice email support. Who cares? I mean, they want the results, right? They want the results. So people, you need to look at like actual valuable track records or reviews or other things in your service that just increases the value and lowers their objections and handles their objections, basically, okay? So don't sell the boring features that no one cares about. Maybe you think it's very special, but your client doesn't really care, actually. Also, I don't want you to play it safe, okay? So you need to be willing, you know, to just take a little bit of a risk sometimes. And especially with your offer. The more crazy you can go, the better it sometimes is getting. I mean, with my agency, we did 7 figures, like, alhamdulillah, with just like these kind of crazy offers. You just pay whenever we succeed. You know, we only pay $12 a lead for the rest of the year. You know, all these kind of stuff. And the beautiful thing is that these offers worked so well that at some point we even needed to close our doors. We closed 30 high-ticket clients in 1 month with this offer. It's super crazy. And then after that, we closed the doors. We just work with our clients right now in just a closed group because, I mean, we work on performance based. So the more clients we actually, the more leads we generate for them, the more we can earn. So there's no like real reason for us to search for more clients right now, but this is super interesting, right? So because we were not playing it safe, we could do it so far, but also you need to look at taking calculated risk, right? Don't go crazy and make promises that you can't fulfill, but speak to your contractors, do some analysements and see what you can do, because the better promise you can make, the more likely you are to close some good clients, inshallah. Now, number 4, and this is the last one, is make it too complicated, all right? It's like, don't overcomplicate it. It's like, this is super important. If you make it too complex, too complicated, like too much going on, then people don't understand it. Like, what you actually should do is turn all of these things into one sentence, okay? You need to first fill in all these questions, and we have a sheet for you guys to, you know, work on it yourself. This is attached here as well. But you need to ask all of these questions to yourself. So who am I serving? What is the outcome? Time frame, method, and you need to keep writing. Maybe you need to write like text and paragraphs full of text in order to answer these questions. But then you can throw it into ChatGPT and you can tell them, okay, please turn all of these information and ideas that I have into one powerful sentence. This is called the elevator pitch. Let's say, for example, you walk into your elevator in your building or whatever, and your potential client is coming into the elevator, but he will leave in 20 seconds to his floor, okay? So you have 20 seconds to convince him. This is the elevator pitch. If I knock on your door at 3 a.m. in the morning and I wake you up for Fajr and I say like, hey, tell me, what is your offer? Then you need to be able to literally scream it out of your lung. Like, what is your offer? You have your short offer, you have your longer offer, you have all of these details. You need to take care of that, okay? So this is just the outline of the offer creation. I hope it was beneficial for you. And I'll see you in the next module when we are talking about sales and get your first clients, inshallah, all right? See you there. Sales, getting clients in. You don't have a business if you don't have clients coming in. And every business is focused on money. In order to get money, we need clients, right? So if you have set up your foundation in the right way, then now pay attention to what will come after, because this is one of the most crucial parts of setting up your AI arbitrage. First of all, if you've picked and set up your niche plus service, and if you have turned that into a nice offer, then it means that you are able to now look into, you know, getting your first clients and earning your first money. But let's be honest, in order to get money, it's not just offer and money. I mean, your offer doesn't just produce money out of thin air. There are a few steps in between, right? In order to get money and make money, you need clients who are willing to pay you. But in order to get clients who are willing to pay you, you even need to get in touch with those clients, right? You need to have contact with them. And in order to get in touch with people, you need leads. You need people who you can actually reach out to and like get in touch. So we basically use a strategy of reverse engineering. In order to get money, you need clients. In order to get clients, you need to get in touch with people. In order to get in touch with people, you need leads. And this is the stage that we are in right now. Because, you have an offer, you have a niche, but also in business, and this is something you need to really understand. If you want to reach and achieve big goals, always start with the end in mind and then just do reverse engineering. Work all the way back and see what is missing, see what you need. And this is where we start over here, right, as well. When speaking about making the transition, from this foundation to the actual sales part, you need leads. And leads basically means you need a lot of eyeballs, okay? If you have a good offer, you just need a bunch of views and people who are watching this offer, because you can have the best service, the best niche, the best foundation of your business, the best offer ever, like literally the best one ever. But if no one is seeing it, I think we can both agree that it doesn't make any sense. You will not get any clients if no one even sees you and hears about you and about the amazing things that you have to offer. So rule number one, okay? Rule number one, it's a volume game. Hashtag rule number one, it is about volume. You need a bunch of people that see your offer. Don't outreach to just 10 people and do a phone call to just 10 people and be like, oh, they said they would, they won't, so it doesn't work. My business is a failure. No, you need hundreds to thousands of people that you reach out to that see your offer in order to make this happen. Okay, so rule number one, volume. And then when looking deeper into this program, looking into ways to get those leads and the acquisition systems, we teach basically 3 ways to get leads and get attract like potential clients. Now, the first one is cold outreach. This is the first method, all right? Number 1. It is number 1 out of 3 different methods that we teach within this program. And cold outreach is basically a strategy that we use with Loom. We send personalized videos to clients. And this is a strategy that I've used so long. But this video right over here is not to explain these acquisition methods. We have separated sections in the upcoming lessons where we dive deeper into what this is. For now, I want to just explain that we have 3 methods that you need to pick one. And also what is like the foundational rules of it, how does it work, like the basics I will explain right over here. So basically these are just sending Loom videos and they are very beginner friendly, okay? They are amazing to test your offer with, especially when you have a lot of time. When you have a lot of time, this is the best way to get in-depth and instant feedback. Number 2 is organic content. So instead of just reaching out to people in a cold way, we post content that attract clients. This is the second way to do it. So in here, we use social media. Social media nowadays is super powerful, right? If you make the right content, you can attract a lot of people. But you also need to understand that this is a little bit of a medium level way of attracting clients. It's not really beginner friendly because you need to know much more. You need to know how algorithms work. You work in a much more competitive field because you're not the only one creating content. You need to know what you're talking about, like all these things. You need editors, you need people that can schedule it. Like it's a bit more complex, but it's still super beneficial. And this is something you need to do when you have both time plus expertise. When you have a bit more expertise and know what you're talking about. Because people on social media just want to listen to people who have experience or, I myself, I didn't really start with social media in the beginning before I achieved some first business success and all of this, right? It's not an excuse, but most of the time it works like that. And the last one, the final method that we teach is paid ads. So running ads, basically. So it's basically just paid traffic, right? You pay for the traffic that comes on your path. So this is really for the advanced level, right? Why? Because right over here, you need a lot of money and capital because you need to invest like thousands of dollars a month into ads if you want to scale this up to something big. And you need expertise, okay? You need to have a tested offer. That's also why I'm saying like the beginner-friendly offer. This is one of the methods that almost 80% of our students start with within this program. And it's just amazing because when you do cold outreach, you get instant feedback and you can test your offer in a nice way. Why? Because like organic content, for example, this one, it takes a lot of time. It really takes a lot of time because if you post your first content on social media, it just takes a little while before the content and the algorithm starting to catch it up. You don't get instant feedback because people just scroll away if it isn't interesting. While on the other hand, if you do a cold outreach and you do your phone calls and your whatever right over here, then you get instant feedback. Hey, I have this offer. I don't like it. All right. And you instantly see what's working and what's not, right? And paid ads, you just need a bunch of money So yeah, that's also a bit more tough. You need a tested offer, because if you don't, like if you start running ads without like a good tested offer, then you're gonna waste so much money. So normally people start right over here with cold acquisition. They start with that. Once they see it's working, they combine it with organic content. And when that is blowing up, you can even get more people there with paid traffic. And that's when you really, really start, scaling to big numbers. So this is also the journey that I went through. Like the first couple of years, I did cold outreach until I had something that really started working. Then I started posting a lot on social media about it, and it blew even more up. And then from there, I started running ads to the same offer, and it kept going crazy. All right. Alhamdulillah. So before we start diving deeper into each individual acquisition strategies, I want you to know that you need to pick one first, okay? You need to pick one, and trust me, if you're a beginner, go for the cold outreaching one, but you need to pick one, and you need to double down on it, okay? You cannot just do one thing and send a few outreaching videos and then upload one video on YouTube and then one on LinkedIn, and you do a little bit of paid ads for 5 days, and it doesn't work. You need to do one thing at a time, and you need to double down on it, because real growth comes from consistency, especially when talking about sales. Like I said, number one rule is volume, and volume comes from consistency. All right. It comes from consistency, being consistent. That's what adds up, and what adds up creates volume, right? You cannot reach success by doing everything a little bit. It's like saying I go to the gym on Monday, and maybe next week I do another sports, and then next week I go for a football lesson. Like you will never become good at anything if you constantly keep switching. And this is also the foundational rule when it comes down to sales. You need to pick one strategy, double down, because consistency is everything. And like I said, if you are someone that is just beginning and you need to test your offer, you need to see if it's even working, then go for this one. If you are a bit more experienced and you know that for a fact that it can work, then you could consider to do content. At some point, if you have a lot of time, you can also combine these two, because these are the most powerful ones. And if you really trust that this is a thing, and most of the time you need to have at least like 5 to 10 clients close with the other strategies, you can go for 8 ads as well, because that's when you really, really can scale. That being said, in the next lessons, I will dive deeper into each individual way of getting these clients in. The acquisition systems, I will explain them in much more detail. So yeah. Lesson about the acquisition systems. This is method 1 that I'll be explaining right over here, called the Loom Mastery. The cold outreaching strategy that has worked for me over and over again, especially when I started out. So if you pay attention, inshallah, this can be your first stepping stone to closing your first clients, inshallah ta'ala. It is literally one of the most beginner-friendly ways to get clients in. And it's the way to get your offer and your service in front of people their eyes, starting from today, tomorrow. It's super efficient, so let's dive straight into it. So first of all, it's called Loom Mastery. And Loom, I've prepared a lot for you today to share with you. But first of all, a few links that I want to share here with you is just this one, okay? If you don't know what Loom is an amazing software. You can just go to the website loom.com and you can just download it on your computer, okay? So it allows you to literally share your screen, open up your screen, record a video, and talk, and then send it to people through email or social media, like all these different things. It's an amazing way of reaching out to potential clients. Now, the first thing I want to do, like right from the start, right over here, is diving deeper into this document. But it actually explains in detail what this is, how it works, and I want to dive a bit deeper into this here today. So when speaking about, part of the whole outreaching strategy, this is one of the most effective ways to make a personalized video that you share with your potential clients. The way you do that is you need to look into a few aspects. But before we dive into that, let me actually explain the way it works, okay? So first of all, you get a bunch of potential leads. You search for potential leads, like clients that you can reach out to. To give you an example, the way I did that, I made websites in the beginning for car rentals, okay? So I made websites for car rentals. And what I did is I literally looked it up on Google. I went to the search bar and I typed in car rentals, and then you get a bunch of results into Google pages, okay? And maybe most of the time when you go to Google, you see page number 1 and then followed by number 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can click on all of them, but no one does that, right? So I literally went to page 5 and then from there moved to all the other ones, and then I searched for car rentals in my neighborhood and in the country that I was living in at that time, and I started literally reaching out to them. I started recording a Loom video, so I started recording a video, and I started recording my screen. I literally gave them a preview of me searching for this word, then going to page 5 and telling them hey, listen, your website is not ranking, it's not performing, it's not doing well. And I started reaching out. So you need to be a little bit creative of ways how you can reach out to them. But a video allows you to reach out to them in a very personal way. It's super powerful because compared to 99% of all companies who just call or just send like boring emails, you send a video to them. So imagine you have a business, you're just like chilling and you get a video, and a video is super confronting to you. The likelihood of responding is so much higher compared to these like simple emails or annoying phone calls, right? So out of all cold outreaching strategies that there are, this is one of the most proven acquisition methods that you can implement. And like I said, I mean, I've literally sent thousands of different looms to my potential clients in the past, especially when I was making my websites in the beginning. So I'm talking from experience, and I will also give you some tips and tricks along the way of optimizing this process for yourself. Now, when going back to that you understand how this works, and when we go back to this document, you can see right over here that I made an outline, okay? So first of all, it's very important once you have downloaded the software and you're a little bit familiar with how you share your screens and all of that, you need to know that there are a few things you need to keep in mind, okay? So first of all, you share yourself in the bottom. You need to make sure that there's like a nice funnel that you build, some preview that you can give them, or something interesting that you show them that also is like for them working good. So let me give you an example right over here. The thumbnail is the first most important thing. So you reach out to people with this video, then they click on the video, then what do they see? They see the thumbnail and the title first. So first of all, it needs to be a catching title, okay? So here, this is one of the videos that I made a little while ago, outreaching video. The title was James, I've noticed some problems on your website. Then you see my face right over here, which makes it personal. You also see the personalized, you see the face of James. I put a picture of him. There is the logo of his company right over there, a screenshot of his website, which makes it personalized. So he's like, whoa, he sends a personal video. There's a problem with my website. And he shows me a complete funnel right over here. Then I have the interesting screen, a funnel. I had a call to action to book a call underneath the video, a description, all these different things. So it creates curiosity. You need to make sure that before they even click on the video, they're already very curious of what is this video gonna do, right? Then when you dive a bit deeper into that, we also need to make sure that this video is not longer than 2 to 3 minutes, okay? Because we are asking a lot from people. We are asking them to read our message, to check out the video. If you make a too long video, you lose their attention. They will never, ever watch it. And 2 to 3 minutes is, from our experience, out of all the tests that we've run, is one of the best and most ideal lengths of a video, because if you do it underneath 1-2 minutes, it becomes too short to tell your story. But if it becomes after longer than 3 minutes, it becomes too long and people will not watch it. Okay, so the total length should be 2 to 3 minutes. Now I'm going to give you the exact template of how to create this video. It first starts with the first 10 seconds, which is the hook. Okay, so whenever they clicked on a video, so they clicked on this video, for example, you need to confirm and tell them literally what they also read right over here. So there's a problem. So I literally said in the video as well, hey James, I've noticed some problems on your website. Here, literally, example, hey James, did you know that 2 of your most important pages on your website are not indexed by Google? You are missing 2,500 to 5,000 visitors a month. So I created this big curiosity. He's like, huh? I missed this out? That's crazy. So you need to open up a new loop. You need to open up some pain so that they watch the whole video. So this is the hook that I gave them. Did you know that there's a problem on your website and you're missing out this potential? And then you start you can do that in 10 minutes, 10 seconds. You can do that in 10 seconds, right? So then you dive deeper into that problem that you just opened up. So you dive deeper into it. You start talking about the problem. You start explaining it. So here it says, this morning I came across your website and noticed a few problems. So I decided to send you this video because some of your competitors are starting to invest in SEO and ranking in Google as well. And then I gave them a few examples of literally other competitors of them that were already investing in the same thing that I had to offer. So I created a problem. I did a very strong hook, and then I gave already directly urgency. So I said, you are missing out, you have so much potential, and even your competitors are already doing this. So he's like, and I'm not pitching anything of my services yet. I'm just telling him. Once you have their attention, you can dive into the story, the pitch. Here you can I actually like dive deeper into what you actually have to offer. So here you can say, okay, this is how it works, and blah 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 blah. But you don't sell your service. You don't sell your service in this video. The only goal that you have, is just hopping on a call with them. The only goal that you have right over here with any of the acquisition methods that I will be teaching you, whether it's this one, the cold one, whether it's the upcoming ones with the content, the organic content, or the ads implementation, it is all the goal to hop on calls with your potential clients, not to immediately have them, want to buy it, because that's not possible, unfortunately. So you use the bridge strategy right over here. It is you show them the problem and you give them the solution, and you show them that you are the middleman that can help them. So the only goal that you have is to share what you're capable of without pitching them that they need to start working with you. You can just say like, this is our expertise. I would love to hop on a call with you. You keep it open, you keep it simple, and you don't put any pressure on them, right? Then you also back it up with some proof. And there are two ways to do that. You can either share testimonials of yourself and other clients that you already worked with, which is one of the best ways to do it. But if you're just starting out, you can also do the other thing, which is just sharing other competitors and other people that already invested in the same service. So you can literally give examples of people who already use these services in a positive way, and you can share results and case studies of others. There's no problem with that, as long as you're not saying that this is you who did that. You can just say, look, there's a track record of this many companies who are already doing that, and that's proof of you can do that as well. So you just do that in 15 to 25 seconds, and then you offer and the CTA at the end, right? So here you can also see what we did. We said, I've actually created a whole sheet and action plan for you, but it's hard for me to explain this in this quick video. So I would love to hop on a quick call with you to show you some more details of the possibilities. So this is literally how you can end up with the CTA. We did it with like a free thing that we give them, which is like, and also creates more curiosity, which is saying like, I created a full action plan, which was actually the thing that you saw on this loom right over here. I created a document which was the same for everyone. I created this whole funnel, but I just put his face, his logo, and a screenshot of his website on there, so that it creates a little bit of curiosity. But I didn't share the whole presentation and the whole funnel in this video. I just showed it to them. I was like, look, I made a whole plan for you, which I would love to explain, but I cannot do that in this quick video. I would love to hop on a call with you. And that response by time was just, it kept getting better and better. What I would love to spend some of the time on right over here is how we did this. Like once we created that, that beautiful video, how does this process works? Because it's one of the most important things. Once you've created this beautiful Loom video, what you basically do is you send it to them via email, okay? This is, we started like a sequence. So on day number 1, we sent it to them on email. Then on day number 2, what I did was I sent it to them on all social media platforms, so on all the socials that I could find of these persons. And this is super important because, like I said, one step before you can even send it to them, you need leads, right? And there are a bunch of ways to get leads and find leads and all of that. We also have like separated tips, tricks, resources, documents that you can go through if you need inspiration to, how to find leads and where to get them. But it starts with your lead list. And when speaking about that lead list, you need to also not only have their email address listed down, but ideally also like, of course, the mail, but also their socials, their phone number, even better. So you need as much details as possible as you can find. Then you can create this beautiful video, and then you can start with the sequence, okay? So the sequence worked like this. We sent an email on day 1, then socials on day 2, and then on day 3, we sent another email. And this is, of course, when they don't reply, okay? This is the follow-up system, because we have really noticed that like the real money is being made in the follow-ups, okay? You need to follow up. You cannot just send a video and expect them to reply directly. This literally doesn't work like that. So we sent another email on day 3, and then we took a little break. We took a break for just 1 day. And then on day number 5, we did the same thing. We repeat just the same thing, social again. On day number 6, we did another email. On day number 7, final day, we did another time the socials. And socials, I mean literally Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, like literally everything I could find. Snapchat, whatever it is, okay? Pinterest, you just reach out to them. And when speaking about this, all of these steps, you basically have then 3 emails, 1, 2, 3, and 3 social interactions that you try to do with them. And in between, if you have their phone number, it would be great to also maybe on day 2 or in between right here on your rest day and also here that you try 3 attempts to also call them. This is one of the best methods that worked for us. And of course, inshallah, you hope that there is a response. And one thing I'm going to promise you already, not every single person is going to reply. Some people are even annoyed of you. They are going to send you crazy messages like, stop sending this to me, whatever. But that's part of the process. Like I said in the introduction of this session, it's all about volume, okay? It's all about consistency and volume. So that's what we do here as well. You need to do this on a daily basis, okay? You need to send hundreds of difference a week, every single month, in order to make this succeed. And then eventually, you hope that somewhere down the line, whether it's on day 1 or day 7, that they reply to your message. And then you get in contact, which is the second step of the process. You want to go from leads to contact, to hopping on contact with them. Once you have a chat with them, whether it's on a call or through like the social media platforms or email, you want to make sure that you hop on a video call with them, okay? Why a video call? Because it's more personal, you can explain things better, and you have more commitment from them. So you book a video call, and from there you start pitching, and then the sales process starts. But this is for another day. Like in another lesson, we will explain the sales process, how to close them on video calls. The number one goal of this whole entire process is literally that video call. That's your only goal, and you need to create processes around it so that it's scalable. Okay. So first of all, you create a template. You can create that template literally by using this document yourself. Super easy, and then you go into that sequence. You get your leads, you find ways to get leads in the proper way, and you send them these reminders. These are also templates, okay? All of these messages that you send are similar in every single case. The only thing you change is just their first name, literally. And this way you can do mass volume in order to, get as much clients as possible. Now, one thing we've noticed is literally that if you reach out on social media, it literally improves your response rate and open rate with 5 times, okay? This is on average based on our experience. Email, people read email, but it's very normal to and very easy to skip messages in email, A lot of people have like outreaching messages there and all these like trap and like spam and like all this stuff, So social media is one of the most important aspects, and one that worked even better is, doing the phone calls in between. So if you can do phone calls and you can find numbers, it's absolutely one of the most powerful ones. I don't have the exact data from here, but I believe that it can be 10x better, okay? Because what we've noticed when we started doing that, we had like people that picked up the phone, and we had also a reason to call. We said literally like, okay, listen, we reached out to you. We had a personalized video that I recorded for you. Have you seen it? And a lot of people said, oh yeah, I did, but I was so busy, I couldn't see it. And then we had like a click instantly. Of course, we also had people that were like, yes, but I don't have time, I don't like you, go away. But that's part of the process, okay? You need to accept that it takes failure, it takes learning processes to optimize by time. Now, you actually also have 2 ways of doing this thing, okay? You can do either an like personalized, so you can send personalized videos from the start, a quality approach, or you can do an evergreen strategy, which basically means that you can even do more mass volume. And if you do that, instead of sending the personalized video right away, you get like thousands of leads. You can either buy them or you hire someone. You get thousands of leads and you send them the exact same video in a personal way, like a personal video. You grab your phone, you literally open up your camera and you say, hello, very good day. I was checking out your social media. It looks very nice. Your business looks very nice, but I noticed a little problem. Would you mind me sending over a video to you so that I can explain this problem? Something like this. Of course, it needs more detail. It needs to be personalized to your niche and your problem, but it's like an evergreen video. You don't say their name. You don't say anything personal. You just give them the broad problem of the niche which all of your clients have. So you send this video, to all of them. And when they respond with, yes, of course, send this video to me, then you send the video. So you avoid getting the problem of like people not opening and not checking out a video that took you a little while to make. You can literally, if you have the lead in front of you and you record a video and you send it to them, it literally takes maybe 5 minutes, okay? So it takes you 5 minutes to get one video ready and then you start. This brings me to my last point that I want to share here with you of this acquisition strategy is you need to put it into daily action, okay? Daily action. And how do you do that? It's all about consistency. It's all about volume. Number 1 rule for sales. So basically what you do is you're going to decide how many do you want to send per month, right? And then you do it per day. So you do, okay, I want to do this per month. I want to do this per week. I want to do this per day. It all comes down to what you do on a daily basis. On average, what we thought was the sweet spot is between 10 to 25 personalized or around 50 plus if you do the evergreen one, okay? You do the evergreen one. Because if you do 50 plus, you do 1,500 a month. And with this one is between 300 to 750. Okay, and this is of course plus. The more the better, but you need to maintain quality, okay? And you also need to look for good leads and do all your research. It's also very possible to, in the beginning, you can just use the same strategy. You know, like I said, I just searched on the web, I manually search my leads, but you also have AI tools that can help you to scrape leads, that can help you to find leads in the right way. But what we did at some point is this leads, I hired a virtual assistant that did the work for me. They provided me with, and it can be very cheap. You can just hire someone from third world country who can do it for a very cheap price. They are very hardworking, and for them, it's like a good salary, right? So, and this is also the part of the whole AI arbitrage. We want to hire people that can help us to improve the world, inshallah. So, you can hire a VA, virtual assistant, that does the research for you. Also, right over here, when speaking about the follow-up process, you can hire appointment setters, okay? So the way you can do it is you can outsource this entire part from here to there. You can entirely outsource that, so you only focus on creating the videos and doing the sales calls and the contact that comes from after that. You can completely outsource this, but in the beginning I would not really recommend that because it requires a little bit of money and you need to do the testing yourself because you are the only one that takes it that serious. If you hire people, you need to motivate them, you need to keep them accountable, you need to have data, you need to train them, like all of this, okay? So this is something to make it more scalable later on, but it's super powerful. Turn it into daily action, build processes around it, and inshallah ta'ala, it will turn it into a success. We're going to explain and dive deeper into the second acquisition method, the second way of attracting clients, potential clients, all right? And the second method is called the content game. You know, it's basically putting organic content on the social media platforms. Now, let's start over there, okay? When speaking about the content game, we're speaking about content in general. We speak about one thing only, which is social media. One thing that in recent years blew up, like honestly. I don't know how old you are, but when I grew up, it literally started. I come from a time where people literally posted their chicken and rice with a selfie on the Instagram feed. And now people have like all these fancy videos and everyone is competing and like every big YouTuber tries to, whatever. Like I come from a time where it was very simple, but now it is the thing. No company can live without it. People make a living out of social media by just posting things. It's crazy. The potential is something you need to understand. I'm not saying that you need to use this strategy and this acquisition method, but in general, I want you to understand that social media is one of the most powerful tools of recent times, and also something that you can use to your advantage. And that's something that we do with the content game. Now, the content game is a medium level way of acquiring clients, okay? We talked in the previous lesson, we talked about the beginner way, which is the Loom outreaching strategy. One of the most scalable ones in the beginning, one of the most effective ones where you can get instant feedback. It's amazing if you're just starting out. But if you're looking for something more challenging and maybe also a bit more scalable, you can look into this one. But keep in mind, it is something that is on a medium level, okay? It's not too advanced, but it's also not too beginner friendly because it requires a lot of time, also a lot of patience and sabr, because it can take a little while before the algorithm catches it up. And also you need to be a bit experienced, okay? Because if you have nothing to share, no real value to share, no track records, no results, it's a bit hard, okay? No one will listen to you because you have a lot of competition. This is the risk of this acquisition method. You have a lot of like competitors who are doing the same thing, but there is a way to stand out. And this is with your niche, your offer. This is in general how it works, right? So let's dive into the first thing, okay? When speaking about content, you have a few different like forms of content. The first one is long form. Okay, and long form is basically just YouTube videos. It's long videos, 10 plus minutes, where you dive deeper into like your message. Then, on the other hand, you have short form, which most of us are very familiar with. You know, you post it on IG, TikTok, like all these short form content. And then lastly, you have something that a lot of people underestimate but still works very well, is just images and text, okay? Images and text. Now, where do you post that? Mostly on LinkedIn. You can post it on Facebook and all these other stuff as well, but LinkedIn is one of the most powerful tools. So these are actually 3 levels of content that you can put out there. Now, I can tell you from experience that right over here in the YouTube long form one, you have the most people that trust you the most, that know about you. They are most committed, like, because you can have a reel. You can honestly, like, this is one of the most crazy numbers and crazy facts that I can give you, is like 100,000 views, okay, 100,000 views on a short form IG video are equal to maybe 1,000 views on YouTube. Honestly, maybe even 100. Because people that watch you for literally 10 minutes long or people that watch you for a few seconds, that's a huge difference. These people are not really ready to buy. It's more on awareness level. It can work, but it's very hard because people just scroll. They see thousands of videos like that every single day. So long form is something that I would automatically double down on. If you really want to filter and get clients, get more committed people in, it's much better. But you can also search for like an all-in-one strategy. And people call this the content bakery. So what you can do is you can, for example, say, okay, we post one video a week on YouTube. And from that long form video, we create 5 reels a week, or like short form, you know? So you can use the long form and cut that into pieces. And then you have like you just need to record one video and you can turn that into reels. And then you can even hire a team or yourself that also posts a few times on LinkedIn. I think daily posting on LinkedIn, if you have an audience that is like, so 7 times a week, it's super, super powerful. I think like the quality on LinkedIn is also super powerful. So if I would say do 2 things, it would be YouTube long form and LinkedIn posting is one of the most powerful things. Don't expect too much from shorts. It can work if you do the right strategy, but most of the time the audience is very low quality. But you need to do like here as well, like volume is everything, consistency is everything. So do at least, if you do do long form, do at least 1 a week. If you do a short form, do at least 5, maybe even daily. And also when speaking about the whole LinkedIn strategy, it's all about consistency, okay? Also, don't upload just 5 videos on YouTube and just a few posts on LinkedIn and think it doesn't work. No, you need to literally do this for a couple of weeks in order to see what works, in order to see what... And you only need 1 post that pops off. Like actually, if you look at my YouTube videos, you look at my YouTube channel, there's just 1 video that popped up. And from there, I just started building momentum. I tested what worked, I tested what didn't work, and I just doubled down on that. And it's honestly the thing that you need is just consistency. As long as you keep going, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for that. Now, let's look into the next step. Because before actually even creating all of this content, you need to have like a core message, okay? Core message. This is literally the heart of your content, okay? Why do people need to look at you? Why? What can you do? What do you have to bring to the table? What is your offer? And this is literally also part of your business core, right? What we talked about in the last module. It's basically who are you helping and what do you help them with? What is the solution that you can provide? And super, super important thing when speaking about creating content that attracts the right clients is you need to speak directly to them, okay? So if you're making websites for dentists or if you're doing lead generation for gym owners, you need to create content only for gym owners, okay? Don't fall into the trap of thinking that you need to create broad content about websites and this and that. It won't work, okay? Because then you're 1 out of thousands of people that do the same thing. If you double down on one niche, even if you get like 5 views per video, if these are 5 gym owners who are qualitative and potential leads, it's already better than 1,000 views from what? People who are not interested. So double down on your niche, okay? Number 1 rule, speak to your audience. Number 1 rule, niche down, okay? Niche down and be very specific because we live in a time where even YouTube channels with 200 subscribers make literally thousands of dollars a month because they speak to a small audience group. Don't try to be the one that wants to go viral and get hundreds of thousands of views. You don't need that. Honestly, you don't need that. Because I do have hundreds of thousands of views on my main YouTube channel, but my LinkedIn, where I have like a few connections, where I posted about my agency, I made like hundreds of thousands of dollars from that by acquiring clients and doing my acquisition. So audience size doesn't matter, okay? It really doesn't. And also one thing that you need to do to keep close to your core and your niche is look at what is trendy, okay? Look at what is trendy. You can literally grab your phone. You can go to TikTok and type in your niche and all things and terms, searching terms, keywords that are relevant to your niche. You can just search whatever is trendy right now and try to make content that is trendy. Try to make content related to the news, to things that are like that people are interested in your specific niche. Super important. And one of the best ways in order to go viral. And also when speaking about content, it's all about the hook, okay? It's all about the hook and the packaging. You can make a video of like 10 minutes long, but it's all about this first seconds, okay? It's all about what you do in minute 1. The other parts doesn't really matter in general. Of course, you need to create good content, but it's all about the hook, okay? It's all about the hook, how you start, if people want to watch it or not. Now let's look a little bit deeper into the funnel, all right? The funnel, how it works is basically, like I said, you have a core message, okay? You have a core message and you need to make sure that you define this in the right way. I know you probably already worked on your foundation of your business, but if you're choosing this path, if you're choosing to make content, then make a list. Make a list of the core beliefs that you have, what kind of things you want to say in your message and who is the ideal client, like all these things. You need to be very specific, okay? And when you do that, you create content based on that core, okay? You create content, so you create videos from there. This is where it all starts. Based on that core, you create content. Then what you do is you can create content on the different levels, right? You can do the long form. You can also do, second one is short form, and third one is the text plus images. If you choose this path, I would say go at least for the long form and the text and all of it. But ideally, if you really want to make this work, you should do everything, okay? You should do everything. You should do this one once a week. You should this like 3 to 5 times a week at least, and this 5 to 7 times a week, almost on a daily basis, okay? This is just what we've seen working the best, but it's up to you, whatever you want. Then you try to funnel these down, all of them, you try to funnel them down into a lead magnet. Now, what does that mean? It's like literally a magnet that generates leads. So you have something that you give away for free. You give away something for free. And it can be even a free call where they can like talk to you about the service that you provide. It can be the case. But if you want more leads, you can literally give something away for free, such as a PDF or free training or anything, like a training, for example. So anything that people are interested in to get to know more about what you're sharing online, okay? So all of your content is kind of funneling down to your lead magnet. Okay, this is one of the most important things. If you don't have this, then you will never be able to get clients, honestly, okay? So you need lead magnets. From there, if you have a lead, we get into the system, then we can get in touch with them. This is the main goal. We get in touch with these people, and then we hop on a video call. Just like how we do it with every single method, whatever method we use for these acquisition systems, the only goal is hopping on a video call with them, okay? And from there, you're able to close them, but we discuss this in final training of this module. So every single strategy that we use, whether it's called acquisition, whether it's like paid ads or whatever, this is all the same, but the process in front of it, like how do you get those leads in, that's a little bit different, So you create content, you need to have like a core message, you need to look into the hooks, like the niche, make videos specifically for them, look at what is relevant. Like these are the foundational rules that you need to know. Then the most important thing is you need to turn this into consistency, into daily action, okay? And once again, you need to create like a plan, and you need to make sure that you do that in the right way. You need to look at your calendar, and you need to make sure that if you look at your whole month and you have all these days, blah, 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 that you do, for example, you say, okay, on this day, I record. On these 2 days, I edit. And every single week, you do the same thing. Here, you schedule all your content. You schedule the content every single week. Here, you record. Here, you edit. Like, you need to have like it takes a lot of time, okay? Consistently putting content out there is a top sport, honestly. And I can tell you from experience, because not only have I done the cold outreaching strategy within my company, but also we've done a lot with this content game. I posted so much on LinkedIn. I did so much with content in general. Even if you go to my YouTube, my main YouTube channel, and you go to the oldest videos, you see a bunch of videos that I created in Dutch, where I talk about my agency, talk about helping you with websites and all of these things. I did this for so long, and it makes me smile when I think back at it, but at the time it wasn't funny. Like, honestly, I hated doing this, but I knew that if I just kept going, eventually it would work, So this is how you should approach this as well. Now, this is also on a surface level for you to understand how the content game works. The third method to get and attract leads, inshallah ta'ala. And this method is called the paid ads implementation. And probably a lot of you have heard about the concept of running ads, but how does it really work? Where do you start? What do you need to look into? What do you need to keep in mind? This video is going to explain all of it for you. So let's start right away, okay? So we are talking about paid ads implementation. Now, the way paid ads work is basically you invest your money into one of the beautiful platforms, such as Meta and YouTube, whatever. You can advertise mostly on all social media platforms. And you do that in order to get instant views on your ads, okay? Eyeballs. One of the most important things is getting as much views as possible. It's all about volume. So you basically pay in order to get views. And because you get instant views, because you pay for it, you also can scale very fast if you do it in the right way. It also brings me to one of the first things that I want to share here with you. This whole paid ads game is truly something that you need to be experienced in, okay? Not in running ads basically, but just in your offer. You need to have a tested offer because it's really on an advanced level. if you go and jump into this without knowing what you do, you will probably waste a lot of money, because without a lot of money spent in a good way with a good strategy, you will get views who are not relevant, and you will not, instead of like grow, you will go down. Okay, you will lose a lot of money because it goes very fast. When you do run ads, we always say at least $50 per day you should invest. Now, you can do the math. If this continues for a whole month, you already invested $1,500, maybe even without any clients, okay? And at some point, this is the strategy that worked for us in the best way, because at some point we tested with all of these different methods. We did cold outreaching, it worked very well. Then we started creating content with the same message, and we did the same things at the same time. It started even popping up quicker. And then when we really saw that there was a product market fit and the offer worked, then we started running ads as well. And to give you a bit of an understanding about this, we closed 30 high-ticket clients, okay, high-ticket clients in 1 month, okay? We literally, with this strategy, with our agency, we closed a potential of a new 50K per month in just 1 month in cash flow with this strategy. It's insane. But in order to do that, we literally spent a couple thousand, like maybe 25K or so in ads, okay? That's absurd. So you see, there's a big risk, because if this didn't happen, if we didn't close those amount of clients, then we literally lost 25K. You get my point? So there's a high risk, high reward here. And if you're really just starting out, then I would suggest to not look deeper into this right now. First, make sure you have a tested offer. Make sure you close your first clients. And if you've built your company in a scalable way, you can look into this one here right over. Now, when really looking deeper into that, the way how it works is basically you need to look into a few things when running ads, okay? Everything starts with the campaign idea, the ideation. You need a strategy. You need to, like I said, you need to at least have already an offer that works. You need to have like an ideal client profile. You need to have like an indication of everything and a good plan, okay? Without a plan, it's gonna be very hard. And you create a plan for all the things that come after. So it starts with an idea, you create a document, okay? You create a document for the whole idea. Then you launch a campaign. And you do that on, the social media platforms such as Facebook or in YouTube. Instagram is Facebook, there are one. You can Snapchat, whatever, Pinterest. You can advertise almost on all platforms. Most of the time people go for Meta, for Facebook, but also Google. Google Ads is one of the very powerful tools that you can use as well in this case. Rule number 1 is you pick one platform, okay? You pick one platform, super important. Don't do a lot of things at the same time. First, master one before ever looking into another one. So you need a campaign. And campaign requires you to understand a little bit of the dynamics. How does it work? How do the dashboards work? How do the data work? How does everything work? So once you've created a campaign and put your data, your targeting, which kind of audience do you want? What is your daily budget? All of these things. Then you need to create your creatives, okay? Your creatives. So your creatives are basically the content, the videos, the images that you use, all of these things that you use to attract clients. And this is one of the most important things, okay? This is one of the most important things, because this is truly what attracts them. You can have the best targeting and the best campaign, which is just basic understanding, just a few buttons on that you need to press, and you need to know what you're doing, but it's not that hard. The only thing which is hard is creating content that really attracts people. So this is also something that you constantly need to keep testing, okay? Once you have one idea, it's fine. Once you have one campaign, it's fine. But the thing you need to constantly optimize mainly the creatives. And the creatives also includes a CTA, call to action, which you need to understand and also constantly need to test. Are you going to do a lead magnet, just like you can do with the content, the free content one? Do you do lead magnets? Or are you going to do a direct response campaign, like a hard campaign, where you do a hard CTA? You literally say, comment here if you want to work with me. Book a call if you want to work with me. That's a hard CTA. People only respond if they truly want to work with you. But you can also say, hey, I do services in this and this. I make websites. If you want to see how we do it, then here you can find a free PDF, a free ebook, a free training. And if they watch it, you can reach out to them and start to see if you can book calls. So then they convert, and then you can turn those leads into sales, but we don't talk about that in this lesson. That's for the next one. But it's basically all that you need to look at, okay? You need to have a good idea. You need to make sure that your campaign is set up in the right way. And this is not something you only do once. I mean, it's also, you need to look into the budgets, you need to do the targeting, you need to keep it in mind. But the creatives is one of the most important parts. Also the CTA, you need to test a lot with this, and then of course converting them. So there are a few aspects you need to look into when speaking about launching this method for yourself. So let's look into this outline. What we did by ourselves with the agency, when we closed these 30 high ticket clients in 1 month, we basically ran a few ads at the same time. So we did it on Meta, which is basically Facebook, Instagram, and we tested a few angles, okay? So we had a bunch of different videos live that we tested with. A lot of different videos, different formats, and of course, everything starts with the idea, right? So from the idea, you create campaigns. You create the campaigns from the platform. So the idea and the campaign, the platform is basically where you basically start. From there, we had a bunch of different videos, photos in different ad groups, where we also tested a little bit with targeting. So we split everything up into different details in order to test as much as we can. Then we divided all these campaigns into two different options, which was either the lead magnet, so free training, and direct response, okay? So direct response was basically just directly booking a call. It was book a call, free training. Now, the thing that you will see once you test this yourself is here you get literally 10 times more leads, but here you get 10 times better leads, okay? So here you get 10 times more leads, here you get better leads. Because these people that respond on this are just basically more committed because they book a call with you or something else. They just respond to you and want to work with you. Here you get more. Whatever works for you best, you need to test this, okay? Because if you have like good follow-up systems with free leads, sometimes it's even better. And there you just dive into the same process, okay? You have leads, which means you can get in touch with them. You hop on a video call from there. Just the same outline like we use always, okay? Video call, sorry for the very bad writing. Video call, and from there you close them. It's basically all how it works. Now, one thing that I want you to understand is the magic happens right over here. If you understand this, and also, of course, the testing with the free resources and the book a call, like the CTAs are super important. But one of the most important things is right over here, okay? You need to test it. And the most important thing is data is everything, okay? Data is absolutely everything when playing this game. And the reason why we had multiple campaigns and the reason why we had multiple different creatives and ads running at the same time is one of the most important things here is A/B testing, which go hand in hand with data. When you know your data and you do your A/B testing, you can see what works and double down on what works. Like, for example, we had this campaign running and we saw that like from 100 leads, 80 leads came from here, 10 came from here, and 10 came from here. We were like, okay, this works. We need to double down on that. We eliminated all these campaigns and replaced them with new ones. We constantly replace new campaigns and see to see what's working. We're going to talk about the sales call outline, the actual sales process. Once you have like leads booking calls with you, you need to close them, right? This is one of the most important aspects. You can have the best offer, the best niche, the best service, the best business core, the best outreaching methods, the best lead generation methods, everything. But if you are not able to get them, to push them in the last step, to close them as clients, real paying clients, then what is it worth? So it's a very important topic that we're going to be discussing today. So grab your notes, pay attention, and let's dive straight into it. Now, when speaking about sales in general, the main goal, and I've talked about this across almost all of the lessons that we did in this module, the main goal is to get with them on a video call, all right? Don't try to do sales in like the DMs or via the mail or even through normal phone calls. You should build like a personal connection. Because rule number one, when speaking about sales, like sales is basically building connections and building trust, okay? They need to trust you because they are buying from you. They need to trust you as a person. It's not about the business, not about this, no, it's about you, okay? If you can convince them, if you can show them that you are capable of delivering the results, that you are someone worth trusting, then they are willing to work with you. And it will surprise you maybe, but business is all about building relationships. They're saying your network is your net worth, and it's actually true. So let's look deeper into this, okay? So we've talked about the process in between, like we've talked about 1, 2, 3 ways of getting clients, acquisition methods. If you are here watching this like lesson right now, you probably watched either one of them, you picked one of them, and you started executing upon them. I constantly keep telling you, if you don't put the things into action that I'm telling you in every single lesson, then what are you doing? This training right over here doesn't matter at all to you if you haven't worked on your core, on the business core, the offer, the thing. If you haven't picked a strategy yet, if you haven't started executing upon it, this doesn't make sense. So you've picked either one of those, and you're able to, generate the first leads, the information, you got contact with them, and then the next step is the video call. So today, this is what we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about the outline of the video sales call. After the lead generation, after you have had the little contact with them, we're going to talk about how to close them. how to make them pay, inshallah ta'ala, all right? So first of all, sales is all about confidence. We've talked about this in one of the previous lessons in offer creation, that is one of the most important pillars for someone to buy. Remember, it was pain and it was confidence. Now, pain really comes from your marketing, pain comes from your offer, pain comes from lead generation, and also is part of sales. But one of the most important parts of sales is actually confidence, okay? It's actually showing them that you are the one that they need to pick from. It's about how you dress, how you look, how you present yourself, how you talk. Because if they hopped on a call with you, if they decided that they want to speak to you, like honestly, they are 99% willing to buy. Because especially when you work B2B, you work with other entrepreneurs, your clients, they value their time. They don't want to waste their time hopping on a random call. No, it means that they have a need. And if you can fulfill that need, if you can literally just show them that you are the right person, that's it. That's it. So confidence is key. And that's where it all starts when talking about sales. And the way you need to look at sales, especially the sales call, is by bridge building, okay? You are helping them going from their problem, the problem situation, to providing them the solution. The way you do that is you build a bridge in between, okay? You build a bridge that connects these two together because you help them go from problem to solution. And you are that bridge, okay? You are that bridge. You need to build that bridge. And the sales call is the bridge that you are building, okay? And your solution is also the bridge. It's like the bridge building strategy is one of the most important aspects and one of the most important things that you need to look at when speaking about sales. And also, one last thing that I want you to tell you is like, you need to shift your mindset, okay? To draw a little brain right over here, your mindset is also key when speaking about sales. A lot of people think it's about convincing that you are the right person. Convincing, but it is not. It is literally just showing the solution. And the way you do that is mainly by asking questions. You ask a lot of questions. You actually make them give the answer. You ask questions about things like, what happens when you don't take action? What is the risk of not taking action? And you focus on the problem first. Focus on the pain and the problem, okay? Because that's basically what people need. People need pain and problem. They need to really feel it in order to make a decision. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as the problem really exists. Like, you need to show them. You need to show them the solution, because from pain and problem, you can show the solution. That being said, let's look into the most important aspect, which is the actual sales call outline, all right? So I'm gonna provide you with the actual outline for a sales call. You cannot jump into a call without knowing what to do, without knowing what to talk about. You need an actual outline, all right? And that outline, just like in marketing in general, we need to see it as some sort of like funnel, okay? Because you start on top, you start very broad, and eventually you just want them to buy, right? That's where it needs to lead through. And on top, it all starts with just the warm welcome. So you start just with welcoming them. I'm actually talking about the actual sales meeting, okay? So client shows up, video call, coming in there. But before we dive deeper into that and what you need to do in the beginning, I also want to give you a quick reminder. And that is that before the sales call, you need to give them reminders, okay? Give them reminders. Keep in touch with them as well. Like, make sure to keep contact with them as well. Not too crazy, but just a little bit so that they don't forget about it. It's super important. And also just in general, setting expectations is important as well. I mean, don't tell them this is a sales call, right? But tell them what to expect, okay? And you give those expectations as well at the beginning of the call. So that you know what the expectations are. Expectations, you also give them here, once more as a reminder, expectations. It's basically saying, welcome to this call. Like, it's a pleasure to meet you. You can have a quick little chat with them about nonsense. You can just like do a little bit of waffling. Oh, nice weather, this and that. You can do that, but don't do it too much. Just like tell them, how's your day? Hope you're doing well. Welcome to this call. Don't waste time and be straightforward, okay? Just literally tell them, I'm not here to waste your time. I value my time as well. I would love to get straight into it. Today we have a call. We have booked a call because of, and then you refer to the previous contact that you had with them. You basically just say to them, okay, listen, today we're gonna dive deeper into that. Maybe you promise them to, pitch the plan. Maybe you are going to show some things or whatever. You would basically just tell them, okay, we're gonna dive deeper into your situation. I have a few questions that I want to ask you. We're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna show you what I do, what I can do, what I have to offer, my plan, whatever. And then you say as well, and this is the most important part of your first warm welcome at the start, you say, and after that, after I've looked into your situation, I also would love to look deeper into seeing if there is a possibility of us working together. If not a problem, because we only work with people that agree with us and that are really a fit. You just say something like this. You say basically set the expectations. So you also literally tell them that they have to make a decision. You tell them they have to make a decision at the end of the call. So you promise them the outline, you tell them what to expect, and the most important thing is that you are in control, okay? So here, it basically sets the tone. You are in control. You take the lead from the start. Never jump in a call and let them talk. Even if they start talking, you interrupt them, you say, listen, I'm here to this and this and that. You literally need to start taking control. Because you can never make a sale if you're not in control. Like, honestly, you need to be in control. So also what I want to tell right over here is this first part, welcome expectations, literally maximum 5 minutes. Like ideally just 1-2 minutes, okay? Maximum 5 minutes, don't waste time because you need to dive into this as soon as possible. Then you're gonna look into the pain and the problems, okay? The 2 P's. And you do that simply by asking questions. One thing that surprised me in the beginning, and it's very normal, like I've done hundreds of, maybe even thousands of sales calls so far, but basically sales is about letting them talk more than you. But you are in control, and that's because you are asking the questions and you are just asking the right things. So you let them talk. This is the most important part. So you ask them the right questions, okay? You need to understand their pain. You need to understand what kind of answers you need to get in order to eventually give them the answer. So here, once again, you want to build that bridge. But if you want to provide a solution, you need to truly understand their problem and their pain. Because if they describe their pain themselves, you can say, hey, but you have a problem, right? I have a solution. So this is one very important thing. You're going to discover the pain. You're going to ask them super many, like so many questions in order to understand what their current situation is. And this is basically one of the biggest like parts of the whole conversation. Is where you just discover, okay? So this is the discovery phase. You focus on the pain points and the problems of your prospect. Now here you can take your time, okay? So ideally it should be between 20, maybe 25, 30 minutes maximum. Not too long though, by the way, but so here you can take a bit longer time, like between 15 and maybe maximum 25 minutes. I mean, don't take too long, but also take your time here because this is one of the most important aspects, okay? Now, this is the start of the conversation. This part is the start. And here you discover the problem, okay? But we do bridge building, remember? So this is problem. Here you focus on the negative side of the story. You focus on their situation. You are very, of course, you're bringing good energy. You're not going to do some negative stuff, but you focus on the problem. Once the problem is clear enough to you, you start with providing and building this bridge, which is literally problem. Once the problem is clear enough, you're going to provide the solution. And here we are focused on the bridge. Here we are starting to build the bridge, all right? So you literally start asking them. So you're not giving them the solution right away. You just, once the pain is clear enough, you just literally ask them, okay, so you are having a very bad website, right? You have no traffic and you see that you're missing out a lot of opportunities, right? You just ask this. You ask them. They're saying yes. So then you ask them another question. Don't you think that optimizing your website could be a good thing for your business? Yeah, actually, yeah. So you let them give the answer. They are actually selling themselves because you are just asking questions. And the more questions you ask, the better you can just funnel them down. So you just ask these questions and then you get to the solution. And then you provide the solution as well. You literally do a little pitch. So it's bridge, pitch, okay? So you need to do a little bit of a pitch. You just tell them okay, this is what we do. And if you can also provide them with some social proof. You can say we have worked with many clients like this and this, or you can show them examples of other case studies that you can just share. You need to have some proof. You can literally just tell them we did this over and over again, or you can tell them you have a contractor, you have a team. You need to make sure that you back it up with some valid things, right? So, but don't do that too long. Just build that bridge and then start giving your offer. Just don't waste any time. Don't waffle around. Just give them the offer, okay? So this should be not taking more than a few minutes. So 5 to maybe maximum 10 minutes to provide that solution to them. And then you need to give them some time. So after you give them the offer, you say, hey, this is the offer. What do you think? You just silence. You don't say anything. Then you wait. And then maybe they say, oh yeah, amazing, let's go. Or probably most of the time, you need to handle the objections. And they will have that, trust me, and that's normal. Like, even when you want to buy the newest iPhone, a new watch, a new whatever, like, you're gonna search for reviews, you're gonna look, you're gonna see if there's anything wrong. Like, this is normal. This is normal human behavior. It doesn't mean that they don't trust you, that they don't want to work with you. It's just they are testing you, okay? So you can handle that by just asking the questions back, or you can, I don't know, just make sure that you're ready. It's important, and this is something you learn by time, okay? You need to understand their objections, and you need to make sure you have good answers to that. One thing I just can tell you right over here is that most of the time, the objections that they give you is like, it doesn't make sense at all. I had a little while ago, I had like a sales call with someone for the agency, and this man, he said like, do you have like a license for marketing this and that? Like, he asked something super complex, which I've never heard of, like, honestly. So instead of like blacking out and be like, oh, what is this? He doesn't want to work with me, or like, instead of panicking, I literally just asked him the question back so that I had more time to think about it. So I said, okay, but why do you think it's important? Why is that important to you? And then he said, I don't know. I just heard it from someone that it's important to have, or I just heard it from someone that you need to license. I was like, no, it's no problem. Like, we work with this software. We have like a team, very experienced team that graduated like this. We just like gave them some answers, and he was like, oh, okay. Like, it wasn't even a problem. But if I would like be very stressed and be like, oh, I have no idea, then I lost the client. Well, it actually wasn't even an issue, okay? So objections is basically just the whole confidence thing. If you are confident, then most of the time you're able to just like get them in. And also sometimes you need to give them some time. Sometimes they need to talk to someone, and it is fine, but if they truly want to work with you, they are excited, okay? You need to make sure that you handle all of the objections that they might have to get them on board and work with you. Ideally, even on the call, they make the decision to start. And this brings us to our last part, which is the close, okay? The close is where you collect the money, or at least the deal, okay? The deal must be secured. So you either let them sign a contract, you know, like a contract where you start working, or you can even let them make them their first payment, a deposit or the first invoice or anything like that. It depends on your strategy. In the beginning, I wouldn't really recommend to like close the deal and secure the money like on the call. But in many cases, it works perfectly fine, okay? So you need to test around with this a little bit. We also have some examples. Also during our live calls, we dive deeper into these topics every now and then. But this is in general just the outline, okay? So the objections, the time, like it's like something you don't know. It depends on how many questions they have, right? But in general, you should have like the sales calls between 45 to 60 minutes. That is like a healthy time. Also, like if you want to convince people to hop on a call with you, asking for an hour of their time is a lot. What I would say always is just 20 to 30 minutes. You book it in for 30 minutes. And once they are interested enough, it's very easy to just like extend it just on the call to 45 to 60 minutes. Okay. So book it with them for 20 to 30 minutes, but always try for like 45 minutes is better. Okay. Because otherwise you're asking too much time from them. Now, one thing which is very important, we mainly talked about the whole part here. The first half is problem. Here it is solution, and that's the bridge building you do. Bridge. But also, what is very important is the part before that, which we talked about, and the part like after that, if the close doesn't happen. If they have a lot of objections and they say like, I need to think about it, you need to move to a stage which is called the follow-up process. Sometimes they even say they want to work with you on the call, and you think like, yes, I have like closed the client, but it takes ages for them to sign the contract. It takes ages to make the first payment or to give you the first information that you need to start working. Like, honestly, just a client telling you he is going to start, it doesn't mean necessarily always that they are actually are going to start, okay? So the follow-up process is super important. And don't go too crazy, because like if you follow up like too soon, it might sound a little bit and come over a little bit desperate, like that you want them too much and that can like push them away. But do it in a healthy way, okay? Like after a few hours or after a day, you can just briefly tell them like, hey, I haven't heard from you, or did it work? And also what you actually should do is even better. If they don't do the close on the call, if they don't want that for whatever reason, and they want some time, then you say, all right, no problem, but let's book another call in 2 days from now, or 3 days, whatever, like 2-3 days from now. Or maybe even tomorrow. Like, you need a follow-up call, because then you have control, okay? Then you know when to expect something. If you just say, yeah, think about it, and you never hear from them again or whatever, like, this is not what you want, right? Think about a good follow-up process. Don't push them too much, but Also, always have like your next contact moment, have it booked. Even if they pay and or whatever, if they sign the deal, you also need to schedule the onboarding call already right away. Like it's super important, all these things, so that the customer journey stays like good and positive. All right. Now, one other thing that I want to talk about, it's just like a simple reminder, but it's super important, is that the way like business works in general, but especially when speaking about sales, it's about trying, okay, and trying and failing over and over again, okay, trying, failing, until eventually you succeed, until eventually you book success. This is like how it works. Consistency and volume, I told you guys this, is what it's all about when speaking about sales. This is the foundational rule. It's about volume, okay? Your first sales calls will be a complete mess. Don't worry, okay? It will be your worst call, like honestly. And you have to. Like the first call is always like worse than the next call. You just improve by time. It's like going to the gym, like doing a sport, doing something new for the first time. You will suck. Like this is just the reality. But the more consistent you are, the more you do it, the better you will become. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. Just go for it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Just go for it and make sure that you hop on these first calls. I'll see you in the next module where we talk about delivery, contractors, and everything that comes with it. Delivery, the implementation of AI, customer journey, and making sure that you're actually able to deliver the results. But remember, we are doing the AI arbitrage module. So this is not a super spectacular module, because actually if you are able to close your first clients, then this is something you outsource, right? And that's where we start. Today we're going to talk about the contractors, how to hire them, how to find them, how to manage them, everything. So let's not waste any more time and dive straight into it. So we're going to talk about finding and managing contractors. This is the first thing, okay? So when speaking about the AI arbitrage module, remember, we sell a service, but we don't deliver the service. Of course, we do it. We manage the projects, but we hire someone that can do it for us. It's basically because they can do it much better. They have more experience and they're just the professionals. You are the one that makes the sales and then you outsource it. So the first thing that you need to do once you have mastered your sales process is hiring and finding your contractor. But before we do that, and before I tell you where to find them, how to hire them, all of it, the first thing you need to look into is determining the payment structure, okay? It's super important that you decide already what and how you're gonna pay them. Because we are not saying like, hey, knocking on the door, I have a project for you, but you tell me what you're gonna charge. No, we don't do that, okay? Because we are looking for a long-term contractor. Don't look for short-term, okay? We look for long-term. Now, what do I mean by that? Long-term means a commitment. You want a commitment, okay? So you tell them your plan. You literally tell them, hey, I have my first client, or maybe even if you haven't closed your first client yet, you tell them about the future plan that you have. Sometimes it's better to hire and find your contractor in advance so that you're just ready whenever you have your first client. Because when you have your first client, you want to go all in, right? And if you need to waste like 1 or 2 weeks finding the right contractor, that's a bit of a headache and you don't want to like delay for so long. So whatever situation, you just find your contractor and you talk with them about the long term. You provide them with some documents, some plans, you hop on a meeting with them and you literally tell them what to expect, okay? You tell them about your service, your niche, your ideas and everything. And then you ask also the contractor about his or her expertise. What are you good at? Can you do this? Are you able to provide these results? I'm going to make these promises in my offer. This is what I want to do. Like you are in control, okay? And first of all, before you even talk about the price, you just qualify them. You'd see if they are actually the right ones. We also need to determine the payment structure. And that starts with pricing your services first, right? If you are selling websites and you're selling websites for $5,000, you need to determine, okay, how much am I going to give the contractor? So what I did back in the days with the website services is $1,000. I gave $1,000 to the contractor, which is about 20%, okay? And my margin was the part in between. So, which is in this case $4,000. When speaking about a monthly recurring revenue of a client that you're working with on a retainer for $2,000 on marketing, for example, you can say, okay, I'm gonna hire a contractor for $500, which is about 25%. Just know that a healthy margin in your agency should be between 60 to 80%, okay? Profit margin. 60 to 80% profit margin. And this includes not only the cost of the contractor, but all the costs that you have, okay? So any software you might have or some edit, like there are basically almost no cost, okay? If you do the right service, you just run a simple service, then most of the time the only like real cost you have is like your contractor and some small packages, some AIs maybe, some like your domain, your email, your hosting, whatever, like these simple things. So ideally, your contractor should be like maximum 35%, and minimum, I would say like 15. You need to pay them well. You need to pay them well. You cannot just expect them to do all of the work of the delivery process without just paying them well, right? Because essentially we are Muslims, and if you look into the Hadith and if in the Quran, it's just very important that we treat our responsibilities and treat our like team and people underneath us in a good way, right? It's a big test and a big responsibility. So these are like genuine good numbers, but you need to run some calculations. You need to also negotiate this a little bit with the contractor because that's normal. You can just negotiate with them. And maybe just for one client, they are a little bit like, okay, you're just gonna give me 25% of like this, blah, blah, blah. But maybe if you can tell them like my idea is to do this, times 10 at least. You want to close 10 clients. You're going to manage the projects. You need to mention all of the things you're going to do. Like, yes, you need to deliver the results, but I'm going to deliver the financial aspect. I'm going to do the sales. I'm going to invest. I'm going to invest my time. I have all these processes. I invested in this program, the mentorship program, whatever. You are taking all the risk. And you are eventually the one that is in control. You are in the lead. Never, ever let the contractor go and get into your brain, convincing you that he does everything. That's really not the case. You need to make sure that you understand your position to understand their position as well. So that's very important. And also make sure that you aim for this. This is the long-term plan, right? Long-term. We read it down right over there. Tell them that you are literally going to be able to provide them with 10 clients, inshallah, at some point. This is the idea. So this is the very, very important aspect, okay? Now, the second thing is where to find them, okay? Where are we able to find these beautiful contractors? So first of all, what I really genuinely believe is one of the most beautiful things of running such a business, the AI arbitrage, is that you are actually able to hire people from third world countries, Muslims who are, Allahumma barik, like very knowledgeable, very skilled, but they simply don't have the resources to find these clients themselves, close these clients themselves, and they are lost. So you are able to help them by, giving them like clients from the Western world. So this is one of the first things I want you to just tell you. This is one of the things I'm really fan of. It's amazing. You can create perfect opportunities. I'm not saying that you must have like a Muslim from third world country or whatever, but I'm saying that it's like very like powerful to do that. If you don't want to, or if it's hard, don't worry, okay? You can hire any sorts of freelancers and contractors around the world, whatever you want and however you like it. I've done like many different ways. In my agency, I hired a contractor from the Netherlands who was more expensive, which I don't regret, by the way. It was amazing. But later on, I also started working more with Muslims from third world countries as well. So either way, everything works. So one of the things, like you have a few options when speaking about finding and hiring your contractors. So basically, I always say there are 2-3 different options that you have. The first one is you decide to work on platforms and with platforms, such as, things as Fiverr, Upwork, all these job websites, whatever, all of this. And that's very powerful. I think it's also one of the most powerful ways. I mean, my main YouTube editor that I have, he literally came from Fiverr, like honestly. That's where it all started. And one of the most important things that I have to admit here as well, most of these platforms, especially Fiverr, are boycott, okay? Israeli-owned companies, we don't do that, right? So, but it doesn't matter. Even if it wasn't boycott, you should never work with them on the platform. Because what happens if the platform, like if there's anything wrong, the platform gets a lot of commission. And it's also like, it's just you don't want that because you want to work one-on-one with them. You want to do calls with them. You want to have like good contact with them. It's like a headache, right? You don't want to do that. So, but the only thing is you can use platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, and all of that to get in touch with them and then eventually get out of the platform to talk with them, to start working with them. One of the most important things that you need to keep in mind when using this tactic is if you are on Fiverr or Upwork and you literally type in the chat, this is my number, let's connect outside of Fiverr, they will block you because, like, of course, this is not the idea, this is not the goal. Fiverr doesn't want you to work with them outside of the platform. So you need to find ways of doing that. What I always did is I was sending them a link to my Google document where I provided them with the briefing of the project, but actually in that document, I just described everything. I just described the job opportunity, what I was looking for, my contact number, everything, and that works perfectly fine. I don't know if it's it's not how we would love to do it, but it's just what you need to do if you want to get some good people, all right? And we are here on my own platform, so I don't care. No one cares. So this is one of the most powerful ones. You can find a lot of skilled Muslims on all of these platforms. A lot of different ways to do that, by the way, but it works very well. One other thing, which I also really fan of, is social media. You know, one of the most powerful tools of today's day and age. Platforms such as LinkedIn or just general like IG, TikTok. Like you have a lot of creators, a lot of like very skilled professionals on these platforms. So you can just search it up, you can do your research, and you can find them and reach out to them just through DMs, right? And lastly is networks, which is a very powerful one as well, by the way, which is also a bit part of like social media, like Facebook groups or just groups in general, you know, can be very beneficial. Your own network, just ask people around you, like, do you know someone because I'm looking for a contractor? You can ask in courses or communities. Like, honestly, even with our agency, we had a sales team that is straightly coming literally all from one course. Just a course and a community where they were like teaching other sales guys, and we hired them for our own agency. So there's a lot of ways of like finding people through networks and getting to know people, and like it's amazing. But these are like most of the time when you're looking for contractors, it can be categorized in one of these three different different ways actually. Now, how the process works of actually hiring them is the first thing you do, of course, is your research up front. You determine the price, you determine your company, you actually start looking already for your first clients. Then you start looking for your actual contractor. Once you hop on a call with them, because it's one of the most important things, you do a call, then you discuss everything. And once you agree, you need to have contracts, okay? You need to put contracts together. Everything needs to be on paper because if anyone makes a mistake, it's a big headache, all right? So you need to put a contract together. Also rules for a contractor should not be able to work with the direct client in a direct way, like all these things, okay? We have this, I'm not gonna explain this in this call. Here down below, we have like many examples of different like contracts and the way of how to put that together. So if you're interested in that, everything. Like this is the program. The program is literally here for you created to just copy and paste it, okay? We have everything ready, the outlines, the ways of how we did it, and also contracts examples. And then we're gonna talk about the final part, which is managing, okay? You're gonna manage the contractors. How do you do that? How do you make sure that you remain the quality and all of that? And this basically comes down to something that we're also gonna talk about in more detail in next lesson, which is the delivery part, okay? Delivery is all about building SOPs. SOPs are standard operating procedures. You literally create a document for your contractor which describes all the steps and the quality that you want to do, like the rules, like everything. You want to systemize your business and just explain what to do. And of course, the real professional is the contractor. They know what they do, you know, that's why you hired them. So you need to find a very good sweet spot and a balance between you in the collaboration and the contractor. So you hire them, you tell them what to expect, you tell them what promises you made to the client, and then you just start working, right? But you need to make sure that you systemize things and build processes around it. And that's where the SOPs come into place. And also you need to understand that you are the one that is responsible. If there are any problems, whatever is going on, it is you that the client is blaming, okay? They don't care that you hired the wrong contractor, that they messed up. It's your problem. So you want to be really careful with this. And even though the fact that your contractor is the professional and you know and you trust him and he's going to do the work, you still need to make sure that you keep track of what they are doing. You need to check in with them on a daily basis. You need to make sure that the quality is going to be remained. You need to make sure that they don't make mistakes. Before they send anything to the clients, you need to check in with them. You need to control if the quality is good, like everything. You're still in lead of the project, okay? You're still managing it. You are in contact with the client, like all of that. Super important. And also keep learning, keep learning from your contractor and just by yourself as well, because the more you understand your niche, your service, and all of it that comes with it. The more you start learning about this, the better you will become, the more knowledge you will have, and the better you will understand your industry, your clients, and the easier you can make sales. This is really how it works. I hope that was beneficial for you. It's an amazing step if you start hiring your first contractor. One of the last things I want to say is a lot of people ask like, okay, but where should I start, and should I do some of the work myself first? It's all about finding the right balance, okay? You just need to make sure that like 80+% of your time should go to outreach. You need to make sure that clients come in. Don't waste too much time on your delivery part, okay? Because if you just systemize it in the right way, which I'm gonna explain in the next lesson, it's gonna be completely fine, inshallah. We're going to talk about delivery, actually how to deliver the right results. Because one of the most important things, and I want to dive straight into it right over here, is that after you close your first client, and you made your first sale, you want to make sure that you deliver the results that you promised, right? This is delivery. This is literally the part that we're going to talk about today. You want to deliver the right results. Overpromise, meaning they promise a lot, but they under-deliver. And this is one of the major issues when it comes down to this process. And of course, there's nothing wrong with promising a lot and being good at sales, but as long as you also deliver the right results, because otherwise you have a big problem. You will lose clients, you will lose trust, and eventually people will ask for their money back. You will have negative reviews. You will struggle a lot more with closing new clients. It's a big headache because it simply leads to destruction of your company if you don't take care of that. But that being said, when speaking about these two aspects of your company, your sales and your delivery, we said this from the beginning, and it's true. You should spend 80% or even more on sales and just 20% on delivery. And this is the beautiful part about this business module, okay? You can do that actually. You can focus on sales most of the time while having your delivery completely outsourced. But that doesn't mean you need to neglect it, because 20% is still 1/5 of your time, okay? So that means if you're working 5 days on your business, 1 day should be fully dedicated on delivery, managing the projects, keeping track of everything, optimizing your systems, everything, and 4 days can be spent on sales. So this is what we're gonna talk about, the 20%. How do you use it effectively? How do you work in the right way on your business? Actually, in this module, we talked already about one of the most important aspects, which is finding, hiring, and managing your contractors. We left everything in detail right over there. What I'm gonna do today is just basically telling and explaining a bit more onto how to manage your projects in general. What are things you need to look at when speaking about delivery? First of all, with the AI arbitrage module, of course, we outsource anything to AI, which we will also talk about in next module. And the arbitrage part, which is the outsourcing to freelancers and contractors. And we always pitch this program in a way where we say okay, you can actually sell services without being the professional. Now, is this true? Yes. But does that mean you can literally sell services without understanding them? No, because you still need to spend 20% on your company by optimizing the part of your delivery, okay? So you need to understand what you're talking about. You need to understand your niche, your service, and how you deliver that in the right way. You need to know what your contractor is doing in order to stay in control, because otherwise he can tell you anything, right? You need to learn what is going on in your company in order to optimize it, because real growth comes from systemizing, okay? And this is the first most important part when speaking about operations and delivery. We want to systemize our business. And this is, by the way, also the main reason why we pick a niche, okay? We pick a niche because we can then systemize it. Without picking a niche, it is absolutely impossible to systemize your business. At least maybe you can outsource and systemize a few processes, but not everything. Why? Let me tell you. So I'm going to give you an example. I started myself making all these mistakes, okay? I'm talking about from experience right over here. So in the beginning, all of you know that by now probably, I was selling websites, okay? So in the beginning, I was literally helping everyone. So this is everyone, okay? Everyone, and here was it niche. Situation 1, situation 2, okay? 1 and 2, okay? So basically what happened was, if you help let's start over here. If you help everyone, what literally happens is, okay, first client comes in. Hey, can I have a website? Yes, of course. What kind of a company do you have? Oh, okay, I have a gym launch. Business. So I help business gyms, whatever. And I want a booking page on my website. I want a portfolio on my website that talks about different gym exercises and this and that. All right, we build that. No problem. Building it. Blah. Then second client comes in, and this is not a gym business, but this is a gardening services. They want other options, such as highlighting their projects Then we have car rentals with booking, payment systems, web shops. Then I have another client coming in that wants, like, it's never possible to optimize your services for all these niches, because every single niche has different expectations, different questions, different issues, different problems, different things. It's a complete headache for you to deliver these services, because every single time a new client comes in, you need to figure out your whole delivery once again, okay? Now let's look at the other scenario where we have just one niche that has one problem and you help with them with it. It's just you build a few features, maybe 3, 4, or 5, that are just valuable enough for them, and you just optimize them, and you keep selling and repeating the same process over and over again. And if you repeat processes, you can systemize it. It's a routine. It constantly keeps repeating itself because every single client has the same problem. And maybe, of course, you need to have some personalization. One client might have a few other things that they need than the other one. And maybe the other client has a different branding, different colors. Of course, it's not something you can just literally copy paste, but you need to make sure that at least 90% or so is just something you can systemize, because otherwise your business is not scalable, and instead of like being able to scale it up, it will collapse. That's what happens right over here, okay? So this is the reason why we pick a niche, because we are able to systemize it. In your company is something that you actually can like separate into 3 sections, okay? On one hand, we have sales, and we have delivery, which we talked about, right? But on the other hand, we also have operations, okay? And operations back up both of these things. This is where we build the systems, this is where we optimize everything. Super important. Both of these parts, both operations and delivery, are part of like the building your business and setting it up in a scalable way. Now, how does this work? There's something that I also mentioned in previous training when speaking about the contractors. We work with SOPs. You need to systemize things, and you do that with SOPs, standard operating procedures, okay? You just build these repeatable systems and put them in documents, okay? Step 1, this. Step 2, this happens. Step 3, this happens. And every single client, every single process needs to be documented, okay? Now, let me make this even more logic for you. So let's say a client comes in, okay? Client signs the contract and he's like, let's go. Then the first thing that happens, step number 1, is they get into an onboarding. Now, what does that mean? They signed the contract, they want to start working, you're building websites, you're doing marketing, whatever. You need to have a call with them, an in-depth call where you just ask them like, okay, what is it that you need? You ask like the details, the requirements, you just go over the whole project, right? So this is the onboarding. Onboarding is super important. Then after the onboarding, you have the debrief. So you're going to debrief your team. You're going to tell the team about what to expect, and you put a document together, mostly for your contractor, right? You put everything together and you start. Then maybe depending on your situation, it depends on your process, your service, but you're going to do concepting. You're going to do concepting and ideation. So concept and idea, this is step 3. And then you go like the whole process of your company. Then you have step number 4, you know, I don't know, like the delivery of the part itself. You have like contact, you have like all these little, you need to identify everything that is going on within your company, all the way until the end, okay? Maybe here step number 7 is where the client is happy, and that's it. So you need to build a complete customer journey. That's what we call it. Customer journey is the journey of which a customer, like for example, when I would grab this right over here, this is the customer. He literally walks through this entire process, okay? So he goes from here to the debrief, to the concept and ideation, and he moves from there to, oh, this is not good, no head. Moves from there to here. You know, that's basically how it works. And this also, if you have a really clear step-by-step process, it is easy for you to systemize this, okay? So the debrief is a template that you need to build for yourself. You can make an SOP out of that. Yeah, the onboarding, the procedure, how does that work? SOP over that. But for now, I just want you to understand that all of the processes and the steps in your company, you need to identify them and optimize them. Do you need to do that already right now, or when is the right moment? You know, this is also a question that I get a lot. And I understand that. I mean, do you need to systemize your whole process in your company if you haven't even closed your first client? I wouldn't say so. As long as you know the general outline, then that's important. You need to know like what is the beginning, what is the end, what are like the general steps in between. And then once you close your first client, you're gonna just test and improve, okay? Your customer journey is something that you improve by time. Also your SOPs, you build it by time. You don't do that like right from the start. Because the first 1 or 2 clients, they can be a bit hectic. It's not a problem. You need to like get used to it. But if you want to serve 10 clients, 20 clients, 100 clients at the same time, you need to build this thing into a machine, like actually. So that's why we need SOPs and also KPIs. But that's something that I will explain a bit more into the scaling module, where we talk about data, how to really scale and deliver better results based on data and all of that. But SOPs is the main thing you need to look into when speaking about this phase right over here, because it helps you to outsource better, outsource either to contractors or AI, and to automate processes. And you basically keep looking at this whole customer journey. Okay, we need to do the debrief, the onboarding, the this and the that. And you either put contractors on there or you put AI on there. Okay, so you identify all the parts and you think, okay, this can be done by AI, this can be done by AI, this can be done by contractors and blah, blah, blah. Until you have eliminated yourself from the entire process of delivery. And then your only goal is to keep looking at it from above and managing all the individual things. Looking at your company and being like, okay, where can I optimize? What can I do? What can I improve? Because this is your job, okay? 20% of your time, you should look to your company and be like, hey, what can we do? What can I optimize? Where are each individual clients in the process? Are they happy? Do they have tips? Do they have feedback? And whenever you have an unhappy client, you want to also make sure that you get testimonials, right? Testimonials super important because they can help you to get even more clients. Every single moment of running your business, there's always something you can improve. But make sure you prioritize the things that are most importantly, and also 80% of your time, never forget it, should be focused on sales and outreach. AI implementation and how to scale your business, including AI. Because what is the AI arbitrage module without having a real in-depth training about AI? One little disclaimer I need to give here is that this is an evergreen video. And AI is the last thing that is evergreen. It's not something that is static. I mean, it's something that constantly evolves and updates and all of that. This video is meant to be explaining how to deal with AI in the upcoming years, so that you're just ready, okay? Now, let's dive straight into it. So one of the first things when speaking about implementing AI into your business, you need to understand that there are actually two forms of two categories of AI that you can use. One are the universal AIs, and the other option is the specific AIs. Now, what do I mean by this, okay? So all of you guys have picked different niches, different services, different offers. We all use the same module, but our businesses can really differ between the different niches and categories and the things and how we operate, right? Some things are universal, okay? Such as simple tools such as ChatGPT, right? Or lead generation tools, or sales call recording tools such as Thom, the very powerful tool to record your sales trainings and see, the calls with your clients and see if how you're performing. You can upload it into AI and let real demand updates and feedback loops. It's crazy. But whatever niche or service you've picked, universal AI tools are available for all of you, okay? Then we have specific niche or service related AIs that are only for your specific niche or your specific service. For example, when you are doing web design, we have AI tools that can literally help you to fully automate it yourself. You don't even really need a contractor right now anymore when you're, working with web. You still sometimes need a contractor to just manage it, and I still would recommend it, but AI can do a lot, okay? Not just for web, even for video with short form, for example, you have a lot of tools that can do the same thing. Or things as software development. You have tools that can do no-code SaaS nowadays. It really, whatever service, you can use it. But the ways to really look at it, if you want to start, building this thing for yourself and optimizing your business with AI, you need to go back to the delivery part where we talked about the customer journey, right? So you just need to map out the journey of your customer and the journey of your business. Remember the SOPs and the systems and all of that? AI really comes here into place and is super crucial. So you identify all the steps, okay? One more time. Step number 1, 2, you go from the onboarding to the sale, whatever, all these parts needs to be identified, okay? So you basically just map out your entire business. And once you've done that, and when you analyze all these parts going from the beginning all the way to the end, you start looking at it, okay? You start looking at it like, okay, what kind of things do I do myself, which are really repetitive? Which things can I outsource to my contractor? Like these things can be outsourced to contractor. And then one of the most important aspects is that you ask yourself, hey, is this maybe also something that AI can do? Because AI most of the times is cheaper, more effective than outsourcing it to contractors. And it's something that works 24/7, right? We haven't even talked about it, but the AI potential is super, super crazy, okay? It allows you to basically automate your entire business with tools that work 24/7, okay? Your contractor needs sleep. Your contractor needs like days off, he sometimes can be sick, like all these headache things, you know? Well, AI works 24/7 for you for like half of the price. Like it's absolutely crazy. So look at your customer journey, identify the spots, and then start optimizing based on the resources that we have here added down below for you. Because business is a way of improvement, okay? And especially right now, this is one of the most important and most crucial things that I want to share with you here today, and that I want you to like stuck into your head. AI is going to change the world, okay? Right now we live in between. We live in between the normal nowadays internet, which we are used to for the last like decade, but like soon as everything is going to be changing, okay? This is an extra module that we added here where we talk about scaling in general and where we talk about implementing AI and some other bonus features, all right? This is going to be a very short module where we have like a few short videos and add some things along the way. Okay, now let's dive straight into it. This is also going to be a very short video where we talk about scaling in general. I want to talk to you a bit about like scaling in general. How does it work? Some things you need to keep in mind. What is the mindset you need in order to scale from just a few clients and then, you know, be able to get a bunch of clients, because that requires a different approach and a different way of doing that. We will also provide you with more resources, tools, and things along the way, because when really talking about scaling, it depends on a lot of things. Okay, first of all, it depends on your situation. What kind of business have you built? What kind of things are you struggling with? And also on the other hand, when talking about implementing AI, making your business more efficient. Now let's dive straight into a few general lessons that I want to share with you about scaling in general. Now, when speaking about scaling your business in the right way, we need to go back to where it all started, all right? So first of all, we had the core. Then once you have your core ready, you know, the core, remember, it was niche, it is service, and your offer. Once you have that ready, you can go to the next step, which was sales, right? So sales is basically everything that has to do with closing clients, getting deals in, acquisition. You need to have like a good method. You need to pick one, double down on it. No, you remember everything. So then lastly, we had the delivery part. And basically we covered all the three areas for you to be able to close your first clients and make your first couple $1,000s a month, okay? Inshallah ta'ala. But now there's one other thing, okay? So like I said, you're able to get your first 1-2 clients with this method, with everything that we just teached, okay? First happy clients will be able to be served in this way. The only thing is that what it takes to get like 10 plus clients and go crazy is the scaling part, okay? And this is what we're going to talk about right over here. One of the most important things when talking about scaling in general, there's just one thing that we haven't talked about yet. And that is that everything starts with measurement, okay? We need KPIs. If you cannot measure, it will be very tough, okay? KPIs come from targets, setting clear goals and intentions. That's when we can build KPIs. KPIs are key performance indicators. Now, let me make this very clear, okay? So if you set a target, and you say, okay, I want multiple 6 or even 7 figures. That's what I wanted to turn my AI, arbitrage into a 6 or 7 figure business on an annual basis, which is 100,000 plus to, millions of dollars a year, which is possible with this module, inshallah, if you do your best. Then you need to define, first of all, what do you need in order to get there? Because just having like your business core, your niche, and your service isn't enough to really start scaling, okay? You need to understand that. So let's say, for example, you want to aim for multiple 6 figures, okay? 240K per year. Instead of saying, okay, I'm aiming for this, very nice. No, let's break it down. 240K per year is 20K per month. Oh, now it sounds already a bit more realistic, right? But still, 20K per month, what does that mean? Okay, what does that mean? So let's break that down. A very realistic thing to do is having 10 clients that pay you 2K per month. For your retainer services, can be marketing, video editing. I mean, we don't need to talk about that right over here, right? So far, you've probably picked already your service. Otherwise, I have no idea what you're doing here. But like, you can just set up a service that is 2K per month. Then you only need 10 clients or 5 clients that are even paying you 4K per month if you have a more high ticket service, or 20 clients that are paying you $1,000 a month. You know, you need to do the equation. And that's also not where it stops. You need to reverse engineer it, remember? So what you basically do is you work back from there. Okay, if I want to close 10 clients in the next upcoming month, next upcoming month, you want to close 10 clients. You need to define how much outreach you need to do, how much you need to spend on your campaigns, how much you need to work on your acquisition method in order to close them. So let's say, for example, out of the 1,000 outreach that you do, you close 1 client, which is normal because you need to work like a lot of volume. I've told you this, especially in the beginning. Don't expect too crazy numbers, too crazy conversions. And here, if you look at these stats, then it means that you need to outreach to 10,000 leads in order to get 10 clients. Right? So this is what you need to do. And then from there, you're still not there, okay? So from there, you think, okay, 10,000 leads. We need to define how much outreach I need to do on a daily basis. How many leads do I need to reach out per week? Okay, so you need to define your leads and outreaching per year, per month, per week, and then eventually per day. And this is the golden number, okay? That will end up right over there, how much you need to do per day. Because then you have an actual plan. Then you start scaling. Then you start to become like, you turn into, from an entrepreneur, a little entrepreneur, you turn into a real business guy, okay? You turn into a leader. This is leadership mentality. You work your way back from here, right? So you know what you need to do per day. Then you know what you need to do per week and strive for per month. And also, when you do per month, you also need to make sure that you divide the 10,000 to, for example, a 6-month plan, right? That's when you have like an actual like document with a plan, and then you work your way back. You do the 10,000 outreach, then you have the right conversion. Once you have the right conversion, you get 10 clients, and you have an actual business that makes you this. And especially with a profit margin of 60 to 80%, which is normal with this module, you make 100K plus per year. 100K plus per year, literally by just serving between 20 to 5 clients per month. It's so realistic, like honestly. And that's when you start to build a vision. Then you know, like the only thing that is between me hitting the results and where I am right now is like literally just this daily goal. And then you can just check in daily with yourself. And this is super important that you set those targets, because without targets, KPIs cannot exist, and KPIs are key performance indicators. So you have indicators that you can check in on a daily basis. Like, is this data point? Is it making sense? Am I on track? Yes or no? Is the conversion like what I want right over here? Is it on track or not? You know, because maybe out of like 1,000, you thought it was 1, but maybe it's 5. That's crazy. That's very good. That means you're on track. But let's say you did 1,000 outreach and you closed 0 clients, it means there's a problem. So there is a lot of like checkpoints that you need to hit in order to build this 6 to 7 figure agency. So you need to start with your target and then, work your way back until you have figured out what your daily steps needs to be. And even making 7 figures, like 1 million per year, might sound crazy for you, but 1 million per year literally is like 85K per month, which might still sound like crazy right now, but if we can just do the equation like this, like very doable to just make 20K per month, with the business, if you do it in the right way. So that also means that in a couple of years, just making 1 million per year with such a business is super realistic. But it all comes down to your dedication. If you can turn these like goals that you have into actual like targets and KPIs, because like, without that, it's just a dream and it will never happen. You need to know what you need to do on a daily basis and what kind of a client you need and like everything, right? And KPIs are not only on a sales base, it's also for your delivery or your processes. You want to make sure that you have like a client satisfaction rate, like how much and many of your clients need to be satisfied with your results and like everything. Your customer success is super important, right? So your KPIs, you do that basically for all parts of your company. You measure it, you track it, and you optimize it. Because if you don't measure, you don't know. And that's just one part, okay? So we talked about KPIs, but it's also in general just the whole systems, okay? It's very important that you look into your systems as well. The delivery part, which we talked about in last module, is actually one thing that you need to keep optimizing. It's one of the parts of scaling. So when talking about systems, you look at your customer journey again, and people go from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, they move from here to there. Like it's like basically your whole customer journey is a process of which your client goes to, okay? You literally identify all steps and you just see whatever needs attention right now, okay? You optimize with AI, you optimize with contractors, you optimize with SOPs, and your job is to look at it from above. You don't need to be like too much in your company. From above, like looking at each of these little tasks. And right now it maybe sounds a bit complex. I hope that you understand the basic rules of scaling. And also one very important thing that I want to say is scaling is something very personal. I mean, the foundation is very clear, okay? This is the same for everyone. The core, the sales, the delivery. It's actually very simple, not easy, but it's very simple to get your first 1-2 clients. But in order to really build your business into a scalable system, you need to sometimes have a bit more personal attention. Like what I said, like everyone can have like different problems in their company. It really depends on your situation. For me to now tell you where to start looking in order to scale is super hard. But don't worry, with all the information in this video, you can get very far. Good luck. Assalamu alaikum.